On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will be locked and loaded with more Star Wars hot takes and an actual popular Star Wars fan channel as they have to break down 3 new Star Wars. They'll be dissecting the mega Tales of the Empire surprise reveal. They'll be thumbing their way through the latest Star Wars Outlaws story trailer and updates. And of course, they'll have to break down the latest episode of Bad Batch S3, which is titled Juggernaut. Who did the jugging and who did the knotting? Important nonsense like this will be answered. Of course, the show will end with the question of the week responses and the latest round of top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chewie.
Hey, now, everybody! Baba booey to you all. Welcome back to the Star Wars Time Show. Holy shit, are my waveforms out of control, Nick?
Hopefully you sound good to me.
All right, good. That's all that matters, right? Because you're the one that has to listen to me directly with cans on your head. So as long as you're good, I'm good. If they're good, no one cares, right? All right, that's how we are at the Star Wars Time Show. As long as Nick and I are doing well and we're happy, we don't give a shit about anyone else, okay? Fuck the fans, fuck all the other Star Wars channels, fuck everybody.
That's actually accurate for me. I really don't care.
See, I speak for Nick. Like Nick is he's got a little hate in him these days. Probably spending too much time with this guy. You know, it's been 10 years close to it at this point.
It's not even hate. Like, I didn't watch Star Wars creator content before we started this podcast, and I don't watch it now. And
I don't either. I just want people to watch mine. Okay, like I'll watch a little Beyond the Dune Sea because I do find their shit to be entertaining, especially their opening skits. Being a narcissist, listening to anyone else's opinion on Star Wars is naturally difficult for me because I think they're stupid. I'm always right, but I'm getting there. It would be nice though. I mean, I a bit envious of what they have in terms of. It seems like Nick and you and I we talked about this, potentially networking up with other like-minded channels, but I think they have that. And for whatever reason, we're never invited to play with other kids at the playground. So I'll take the blame for that.
And we're
the old guys.
50-year-old adults.
I will say this. I think their ringleader is this Diamond Figs character on IG. He's got a pretty big following, like 35,000 or something. But he seems to be the one that blessed Beyond the Dune Sea early and kind of helped them skyrocket. And out of nowhere, I found him in our DMs just letting us know, like, hey, see your content, dig it. I was like, all right, hey, the old guy's getting some views from the young and up-and-coming crowd. In the back of my head is like, well, hey, why don't you share the fucking content if you see it, right? Hey, come on, let's go. But I that type of feedback, Nick, as I've tried to explain to everyone that listens to our stupid show, that's all I want. Like that's it. Like just, hey, you suck or you're good. I get a lot of you suck, so a bit more of the, you're good would go a long way. All right, man, we got all sorts of Star Wars to talk today. Holy shit, we had a surprise come out of left field last Thursday. I mean, you almost never get mega drops on a Thursday that late in the week, but Tales of the Empire, bada bing, bada boom, eat shit, Tales of the Jedi Season 2. That was a pretty interesting and very well done, very well kept secret by Disney Plus and Lucasfilm. Okay, so we're obviously going to talk about that. But Nick, the fact that they were able to keep that completely under wraps. I mean, you and I, through our sleuthing, whatnot, connections, just reading the internet and having a brain, we typically know what's going on. We know what's coming down the pike. Last week everyone's like, "Oh my God, Mandalorian's coming out in May of 26." We're like, "Yeah, we told you that. We told you that." Because you gotta, you look at the signals and you use your brain. You're like, "Yeah, that's when it's going to happen." But the fact that all along, they have been creating Tales of the Empire versus Tales of the Jedi Season 2 and kept that secret is impressive. In this day and age, that is supremely impressive. And I was genuinely shocked when we got that drop last week. And at first, I'm like, holy shit, is this just a brand new offshoot of the Tales franchise. And at the end, they do that awesome logo reveal where the Empire burns through the Jedi. I'm like, oh shit, no, this is season 2 of this Tales franchise. It just is following the Imperials now versus our Jedi friends. So super exciting for that. I mean, right? You had no clue that this was a thing.
No. I mean, I think that there were, like, obviously, like you said, there were rumors about Tales of the Jedi season 2, and this is what it ended up being.
Dude,
and honestly,
last week, I think one of the fandoms was like, hey, Kevin Kiner just said they finished scoring Tales season 2. So we were like, oh, cool. Yeah. And then boom, a day later, by the way, it's Tales of the Empire.
Yeah, I think that was a good move. I feel like there's so much content that's focused around the good guys and the Jedi and all of their history and all of their, like, behind the scenes stuff that it's about time that we got some Empire bad guy focused stuff, and we've been calling for that for a long time. And I think a Tales season is a really good way to dip your toes into that. I just wish that they used this type of content more intentionally, like, for lack of a better term. I wish that they would have used like Tales of the Jedi season 1, Star Wars Visions season 1 and 2 to really, like, develop things off of the back of it. So, like, taking the most popular episode from Vision season 1 or Vision season 2 and developing that into a longer form series, and then kind of treating treating Tales the same way is really, like, not just putting out these, like, here's a 7-minute clip that's really awesome, but, like, hey, can we make something out of this? Is there something more here to be explored? It doesn't seem like they are doing that yet, but maybe that's kind of a long-term play. But yeah, I like what they're doing, but I wish that they would recognize that there's an appetite for more of it.
Well, here's kind of a counterpoint. Because we actually do have more for what Tales of the Empire is going to be. We see what Morgan and Thrawn's relationship turns into. We see where Marak ends up at. Obviously we don't know Barris's full story, but we know Luminara is caught by the Empire and used to lure in Jedi like Kanan all the way up to Rebels, and I'm hoping we kind of get some of that in Tales. So what I'd argue, Nick, is they need to figure out how to release this shit better. This should have came out before Ahsoka. For all the people out there that have no clue about this Morgan character, or even us, like, giving us this stuff first to show how her and Thrawn first kind of palled up, why she had such why she was so bent over the galaxy, why she would go in leagues with him, why they would rape this Corvus planet. As again, in the Bear story, you're going to get maybe some Marak stuff in there. So I know what you're saying, but I do think Tales is more meant to flesh out what has already come out. I think this in particular could have benefited coming out before Ahsoka, with the heavy focus on. I mean, Morgan is one of the main characters. Like in Tales, we had Dooku and Ahsoka. It's Morgan and Barris. That's what we're getting. We're going to get their story here. And while Morgan's is written, so this is going to be nice to this is her prequel. Barris, to me, is going to be the intriguing one, because that's one all fans have kind of been clamoring for since the end of the Clone Wars, because she ended up playing a very important role in Ahsoka's journey, the Jedi Order, you could argue, and eventually the fall of the Republic. I mean, she was an early Jedi to kind of become disenfranchised and start acting out against them, setting up Ahsoka, almost getting her thrown in jail and ultimately causing her to leave the Order. So we've been clamoring for that, and it is going to be interesting where she ultimately ends up, and if Tales is going to kind of, do you think, put an exclamation point on her story, or is this just set up for more potential Barris type of stuff? I don't think there's a lot of room for it, but
I mean, here's the thing with Tales is they're short and there's not a lot of them. So if we're hoping to get a shitload of awesome story from it, I would pull your expectations back.
Well, hey, listen,
we're going to get little stuff.
We've been through this before, though. Do you not feel like you got an awesome Dooku and Ahsoka story?
Tales, that's what I'm saying. Like, Tales season 1 was fun, but it was just like, oh, wow, these were really awesome. I wish I had more. It didn't like
You
sate
greedy
the desire.
son of a bitch.
And then what? All this time too, we have like we have the Bad Batch going on. That is honestly like in season 3, as deep as we're in, not impressive. Like this is the final season of this show that is supposed to be like this big. Like we expected a lot more from this, or at least I did. And like we have good stories that are being given 5 minutes of screen time, while we have the brand new episode of The Bad Batch that just came out that is literally almost a scene for scene recreation of other Star Wars content that we've already seen. Like it's just disappointing that they don't realize that they are telling good stories in certain places, but they're not making it into what it could be. Like Tales, I love Tales
like
season 1.
Nick's pissed
Visions.
off. Nick is pissed. I like this. He's like, fuck this
It's
shit.
just
I want
like-
more Tales.
It's just bad. It's bad storytelling and bad world development. Like I just don't know what else to say. Like
I don't know.
and
I'm gonna
only
reserve
one.
my judgment till we see it. But based on the trailer, which we might as well just go through right now, because Bad Batch is going to take about 15 minutes to talk about. Because let's be real, I'm never going to shit talk Star Wars. Like Nick, I would not call it trash. It was as close to filler as Star Wars has gotten. You know me, I'm never going to call any Star Wars filler. But shit, what a letdown. After a great 2-banger last week that really felt like the stakes were being raised, and then we get Juggernaut, which is essentially we saw the whole thing in the fucking trailer for the show. So, like I said, I think Tales is gonna be great. I do think it's gonna world build. It's gonna give us some prequel action for Morgan in particular. It looks like it's gonna follow her all the way from the Clone Wars all the way up to the Mandoverse era, because we definitely see her on Corvus, kind of fucking the people over there after making the deal with the Empire. So I personally do think that adds to the world, but I can see where you're like, hey, this is good shit. Let's just make more of this instead of these bite sides that feed into stuff that already exists.
It's nice to get an hour and 15 minutes of content, but that's all it is an hour and 15 minutes of content. That'll be fun, and that'll like fill in gaps and give us context on stuff. But like, why do I have to watch fucking this many hours of Bad Batch to watch you fumble it constantly? Like, it's just...
Nick's revolting on the Batch. He's going to swat Jennifer Corbett and Brad Rowell. He's like, fuck you. I mean,
honestly, like, sometimes you have to just call out bad content or they keep making it. Yeah. Like, and this is like, they're just not doing a good job with it.
Hey, as long as you don't join the Disney is woke and that's why Star Wars sucks crew, then you're fine. Like, you can you can hate on it because you have, valid opinions and you're not just sitting here being a troll. So it's all right. I'll let you go. All right. Anyways, like I said, let's just fucking let's do it. Let's just get into Tales, man. I mean, I got the trailer split up. We can work through some of the slides here, the stills. To me, it's pretty straightforward what's happening in the two stories, but there are a few things that we could potentially highlight here. So like we said, the Tales of the Empire is Tales of Jedi Season 2. It's coming out May the 4th. I'm not a huge fan of that. It's mostly because of my Star Wars content creating OCD. Okay, it's just like I'm gonna feel guilty. Like I need to get my thoughts out there to the 2 people that watch my content when I post it. I'm not gonna do it, but I'm just telling you it's bothering me because I'm a fucking weirdo. It's gonna release in full. Okay, just like Tales of the Jedi Season 1. It's a full anthology drop, so you're gonna get them all on May the 4th, be with you. Hopefully you are rolling out of your screening of The Phantom Menace right into, like Nick said, an hour and 20 minutes of Tales of the Jedi. The 2 main focuses here. Interesting choice, but I understand them. Morgan makes a ton of sense, especially because of what they're doing with the Mandoverse. And she showed up all the way back in Mando Season 2, has, since played a role in Ahsoka. I think they even talked about her in Season 3 potentially, but she's there, and now we're gonna get some backstory, a prequel, if you will. Hopefully it's not like the live action prequels to the OT. But looking through some of the clips here, Nick, obviously it starts. This seems to be the forging of the bond between Thrawn and Morgan on planet Corvus. So I'm thinking at some point in time, obviously after Dathomir gets genocided during the Clone Wars, she in some capacity makes her way to Corvus and becomes like a magistrate, almost like a leader.
Yeah.
And it seems the Empire's showing up as it would. It's got resources, wood, and all that shit. And she essentially explains to, we hear throughout the trailer, Thrawn's like, hey, what can you give the Empire? Why do you want to partner up? What's going on here? And she essentially says, listen, I've got nothing but hate and anger to dedicate to you in the Empire. And he's like, all right, fucking A, let's rock and roll. Yeah, in fact, it was, why do you seek Imperial favor? That's Thrawn. And she explains, years ago, my people were all but destroyed. My anger gives me strength. It is that strength I offer the Empire. Offer accepted. So that's going to be cool. Now, why does she end up on Corvus? Who knows? Is this where she just goes to hide? How is she put in a position of power? But clearly she is, because... And I'm just jumping all over the place, Nick. We'll stick with Morgan to start. But we see, which is cool, and this is a callback to when we first met Morgan. Nick, she's in that water garden. She's on that that plank or bridge where we see her lose to Ahsoka Tano and get arrested. But you also see Wing, the Asian guy. If you remember him, he was like the first mayor, and what it sounds like is at some point in time, Morgan shows up and tells Wing and the people of Corvus, like, hey, we need the Empire. The Empire's going to help us. And then ultimately, when the Empire loses and the New Republic shows up, Wing brings the New Republic, possibly a senator with him, some troops. And he's like, hey, what did the Empire really get us anyway? And he says, you said the Empire would help to change things. And she says, everything comes at a cost. And
so I guess that's why the planet looks like a shelled out husk when we see it
exactly.
in Mandalorian season 2.
This is it. It's sort of explained there by Ahsoka. She's like, Morgan has been working with Thrawn for decades, essentially harvesting natural resources for the Imperial Navy. So it seems Morgan, we're going to connect those dots all the way up into the Mandoverse era, clearly, because she turns on the New Republic. I mean, she pulls out the Beskar spear, blows up their transport as they try to get out, and makes it pretty clear, like, hey, I'm in charge here. Fuck off. And that's how it remains until Ahsoka Tano shows up and removes her from her post. I think the other interesting things we're going to get with Morgan is we learn that she is from the Mountain Clan, Nick. So, possibly that's how she survived the initial onslaught by Dooku and Grievous, and, maybe why she doesn't look so ghostly and sickly like Talzine.
Yeah,
and
it looks very different
right, but we got some dialogue from who is called a Mountain Clan matron. Your path is set, Morgan Elsbeth. I will fulfill my destiny. So that's interesting here, but we are going to get to see, it looks like, Morgan fight in the battle between the Separatists, which for the most part, Nick, we know that was the genocide of Dathomir. I mean, that was it. Yeah. The Night Sisters were pretty much wiped out. And that's what is going to fuel Morgan to do what she does well into the future with Thrawn. I find it interesting, like, where do her face tattoos go? Or are those just like war paint, you think? Because in some of the flashback scenes, or it seems like an episode's going to take place during the Clone Wars, Nick, she's got these like magic infused sickles.
Yeah.
And she's got like Talzine style face paint.
Yeah, it's probably just paint.
Paint?
Because, just given what, like, how all of the other images show it, just her having the little forehead thing, I think those streaks are probably just battle paint.
Now, do you think it's paint, or do you think they use magic to kind of put their war masks on?
I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen them do any sort of like magical paint stuff yet, but I guess they definitely could. But it does seem more like tribal paint type of stuff.
And those sickles, I got a shot up where she's kind of locked with Grievous.
Yeah.
What was the name of that? Do you remember the blade she was given on Peridia? Did it have those same symbols?
I mean, I think it had similar symbols on it for sure. Yeah, and I think it was just the blade of Talzine or something like that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
you got, and then it also lit up like that. So I mean, I wonder if she loses these weapons because clearly they are.
She doesn't have them.
Pretty powerful. Yeah. She ends up using a Beskar spear. You would think if she has these sickles that can light on fire, and I guess the Beskar could block a saber too, but they seem like a bitchin' set of weapons to just kind of give up.
Yeah, and these are definitely like specifically Night Sister infused runes, which is how like that magic can run through it. So it would seem odd that she would still have these weapons but not use them. Unless she's trying to hide her identity. And I mean, I guess that's possible, after the extinction or the destruction of the Night Sister people and Dathomir as a whole, like maybe she's trying to be a little bit more under the radar with her being a former Night Sister.
Yeah.
So, like she feels like she can't use those weapons.
I mean, you make a good point if you think about it. Not that they were being actively hunted, but, the Night Sisters, the Dathomirians, they essentially suffered the same fate as the Jedi.
Yeah, and I mean, like, they don't really have allies either. If you think of the Night Sisters, like, Empire's not really their allies. The Republic's definitely not their allies. Like, it's not like, oh, well, they got wiped out by the Empire, but they were sympathetic to the Republic. So
they actually got wiped out by CIS, which wouldn't have been the Empire, which is odd. I mean, it just goes to show you how fucked up Palpatine's plan was.
Like Palpatine wiped them out. Whether he used the Empire or the CIS, it was Palpatine's plans to wipe these motherfuckers out. And I don't think that they were never like friendly with the Republic. In fact, they were always very reclusive. So it's not like they felt safe, like, oh, well, the Empire is in power now, so we're okay, or vice versa. They were always going to be in a weird like
they were situation. All dead anyways. They didn't have to worry about the Empire. I mean, they were gone. I really think they're trying to position this as Morgan is one of the only to survive.
Yeah, and like I don't know where fucking the lore of comes in here, like Jedi Fallen Order, because there was a shitload of.
Oh yeah, you're
Night
right. Marin lives too. Marin lives
and
too.
like there's all those Night Brothers that are alive as well, and
that shit's only semi-real, Nick.
So like I just don't know how those like pieces of canon interact with each other, because obviously Fallen Order happens after the Empire's already in power.
I'll say this way: TV, movies trump trump books and reading shit. Books and reading shit may even trump games.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's
to
all
track
loosely canon, but if Dave or someone decides, hey, in the moving images shit, we're changing something, that's the new canon. So just get over it. I mean, it's always been that way. I mean, just listen to George himself. He's like, yeah, go ahead. Write your fucking stupid books and whatnot. It ain't shit unless I bless it. Okay? Same thing happens here. The only other interesting thing with Morgan's thread is, in the stills, Nick, there's this, it's like this wild energy bubble that goes off, and there's clearly battle droids there. So it looks like this is probably taking place during the Night Sister fight. And then the next shot, you can see a silhouette of a figure lit up. Is this Morgan with like some fucking crazy ass Night Sister bubble power or light power, or what's happening here? It's almost like they they almost like explode themselves to clear the battlefield.
Yeah, I mean, like there was definitely something similar that happened in like old EU canon and stuff, where you're essentially using your own or somebody else's body as like a conduit to cause mass battlefield destruction. I don't think it's Morgan. But because it looks like this person is like wearing a cowl.
Yeah,
at the
I
very
mean, what
least,
if it's like Talzine or and this is like their sacrifice to make sure one of them lives in Morgan.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of my thought, was that it was definitely either Talzine or another one of the high-ranking Night Sister, Great Mothers or whatever, their thought was. Because yeah, I mean, just like the figure that you see in that obscured image looks more like Talzine and her like robes than it does Morgan.
Hey, super off topic, and I think I know the answer, but you don't fuck with WWE, right?
No.
Well, I'm still borrowing Peacock from the intern from football season. And I was like, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, I've become a big Pat McAfee fan. I was like, yeah, I'll check. I tuned in. We tuned in for the 2 nights. Holy shit, was that fun. My kid loves to watch wrestling. I mean, she's just like amazed by it. Completely entertained. It was awesome. The first match of the first night was for the women's championship. So I think that kind of helped her loop in there with Becky Lynch and Rhea. But I've never seen my kid this engaged with something that isn't what she picked. So
nice.
Kudos to WWE out there. It was fun. I mean, for an Attitude Era fan, having The Rock and some of the people that showed up back in there, it was neat. I had no clue what the fucking storylines were. I missed Raw, which is the start of the new year. Maybe I'll check it out. But yeah, wrestling is fun. It's still a damn fun little thing of entertainment to watch, man. Sports entertainment. Woo! All right, back to Star Wars. Oh, real quick fun story about the kid. So last night, solo dad, look out the corner of my eye. She's playing in the neighborhood with kids, having like a chicken fight on the shoulders of her friend. Before you know it, I turn my head.
On the floor.
I see them consoling her. Then she slowly comes back over, barely, like all stiff and not moving, and just breaks down and runs right to her room and passes out. So to make a long story short, my kid concussed herself, lost a bit of her memory for a little bit, like couldn't remember that her birthday was last week, that Easter was this month, and lost some feeling in the left side of her neck.
Jeez.
So that was a anxiety-filled night because I was solo dad. Heather was in St. Louis for work. And yeah, I'm like, well, what the hell do I do? Do I take her to urgent care? Do we ride this out? I mean, she's talking, moving. She can get up. She can move her head. So we just rode it out. And then she got up this morning, was super stiff. And my wife's like, fuck it, I'm taking her. As soon as she gets to urgent care, they're like, nope, children's immediately. So yeah. Luckily, after a long day of tests and getting scanned, no brain bleed from the concussion. Definitely had a concussion. Memory's coming back. Neck is strained. But she should be good to go here in a few days. So yeah, that was my first time with the old kid emergency. You know, I've known it's been coming as a parent. You just know these life events are eventually going to hit. But as with accidents go, you never know when it's going to happen. And sure as shit, it happened when old dad was on the watch. So. But we made it. We're all right. We're all right.
That's good.
You fellow parents, you probably understand what the last 24 hours is like. It's not fun. It's moments like that where, you know, someone like me that doesn't like to feel emotion, especially sadness or loss of any kind, this is where you start to like, why? Is it really worth forging relationships with people and pets? Is it? Is it really? You know, the pets, you know, as much as we love them, you know they're going to fucking die and tear your soul out at some point in time. Is it worth it? I don't know. I really don't know anymore, Nick. You tell me, buddy. I know you guys got a lot of pets, but I don't think, are any of them on their way out or?
I mean, not yet. My cat's the oldest.
Okay.
My cat turns 10 in September.
So as long as you take care of her, you probably still got another 8+ years. Have you ever lost a pet that was like a person to you or not yet?
Yeah, when I was a kid, like when I was 16, my parents had a dog. I mean, like our family dog was older than me. Like my parents had a dog before I was born, and that was my family dog. Like when I was growing up, and I think when I was 15 or 16, they had to put him to sleep. So that was, that was the only time.
You know what I mean? Though it's like is it worth building relationships? I know it's great while you have them, but then you got to deal with the aftermath. And like a parent, when you're a kid, you got to deal with all the unknowns. I mean, there's some dark shit that runs through my head every day being a father of a girl, because we all know how fucking scummy men are out there. It's just like, I don't want to deal with this shit. What did I bring upon myself? But hey, it's worth it. I love the kid. I would die for her. So let's move back into Tales of the Jedi. What do you think, Nick? Anything else on the Morgan front? I think we hit some of the more interesting points.
Yeah.
How do you think her battle with Grievous goes then? Is that why the white bubble comes out, or does it come to a stalemate? She obviously can't beat him, and she can't die. Does she get injured to the point where he's like, yeah, she's dead? Or what do you think there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she has anything to do with this bubble. Like, I truly think that, like, this is the leadership of the Night Sisters being like, look, this is going to be either we're all going down, and we're all going down, meaning I'm killing all these droids and I'm killing all of our own people, or it's like a super last ditch effort by Talzine to try to cause a distraction and get people out. The fight with Grievous is surely going to get interrupted. Like it's almost guaranteed that it's something's going to happen that's going to cause that fight to end prior to either one of them being killed. And it might be that like explosion bubble thing is what causes it to
that's kind of what I was thinking. I do hope she gets one up on him. You know, maybe nicks an arm or gives him a run for his money, wounds him or something, because you know they're kind of portraying Morgan, and as we saw, she's a very competent fighter. She could more or less held her own with Ahsoka Tano. I do hope that she shows us that Morgan's not just a regular person. You know, I think we've learned that through Ahsoka, but even in Ahsoka, she needed to essentially get zombified to go to a new level of combat, thanks to one of the great mothers there. So I'm interested to see how she kind of handles herself with the old forearm freak here. All right, obviously the next story here, major surprise, at least to me, because you know, Nick and I think we put Barriss in our wants or characters we'd like to see in X upcoming series. I think every time a new show comes out that she possibly makes sense for. Yeah. And I think most fans are like us, Nick. It wasn't like she was some massive player in the Clone Wars, but she did get a few episodes early on with Ahsoka, and that kind of established their bond together. And then obviously she had that heel turn towards the end that led to Ahsoka self-exiting the Order and everything else that happened there after that. So she's had a major impact on some of the more iconic characters that we have followed for many years now. So a lot of us naturally are like, well, what happened? Okay, yeah, she was found out and arrested, but then what? What happened to Order 66? I'm sure everyone remembers the first ever Grogu flashback at the temple, and they're all like, oh, that's Barriss' sigil. Maybe she's at the temple. And we're like, no, she has to be fucking arrested at least. She can't just be hanging out at the temple. So, you know, they're talking about her in the Mandoverse. We were positioning her as Marok. And lo and behold, Day's been sitting on her to be used in Tales of the Empire. And I think her path of entering the Inquisitorius makes a ton of sense, right?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what this is going to be focused on, is just like how, like, her downfall from Jedi Padawan to Sith Inquisitor.
She's already kind of had that downfall. Training. This is just kind of giving the nudge, like, oh, hey, you were already using red lightsabers. Do you want to do it for real?
Yeah, I mean, but even like, you know, in the scene where she's talking to the Grand Inquisitor, she's still like clearly not trusting this dude. She's drawn her blade. I don't think she's fully committed herself to like the dark side or this path yet. So I do think that we may see like more of an intentional, like, hey, this is what your path forward is now.
100%.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact that they even kept her alive to me was surprising. I mean, if you have a Force user that used to be a Jedi locked up in prison and Order 66 kicks off,
Oh, dude.
What are we doing? So
who's gonna kill her? Like who? Do you think a Jedi is gonna chop her head off?
A bunch
the
of
Jedi
clones.
wouldn't chop motherfucking guy's head off who was leading the Empire.
I mean, a bunch of clones killed other Jedis. Why didn't these shock trooper clones just shoot her in her cell?
Because she's under arrest by the Empire, who's now in control.
Well, no, she was under arrest by the Republic.
Yeah, but they're not gonna. It makes total sense why they didn't kill her. Like. It's
odd.
She's clearly an agent of the Empire, regardless of when the Empire took over or not. Like you can look at that last bit of time during, like, you know, when she did all of the shit to get arrested and like set everything in motion. Like at that point, like the Republic was over. It was fucking done. It was just a matter of it was literally when Palpatine decided to pull the trigger.
That's my point. So why the fuck is she still in jail?
Because she got put in jail by people who don't kill people. Like she got put in jail by the fucking Jedi.
But here's the point. The Inquisitorius didn't just rise day one after Order 66.
They were ready. They were surely primed.
No, dude. This is established canon from the comics. Like,
oh, from the comics. Yeah, that's why I don't know it. So,
like, the Inquisitorius was not something that was rocking and rolling like right when the Empire popped up. I mean,
but like they just don't have a reason to kill her, is what I'm saying. Like,
it's odd. All right, it's just one of those things. Like, okay, all right. I mean, she's still wearing fucking Republic fatigues and everything, and she's probably been in prison for a year, maybe. Who cares? Like, in the end, it really doesn't matter. So the Fourth Sister is the one that comes and get her, and the big reveal here is we get the Fourth Sister's name finally. You know, she popped up for the first time in Kenobi just as Fourth Sister, and her name is Lynn. All right, not sure why they sent her to kind of work over Barriss, but clearly they get her out of prison. You had to love the line from the clone, just be glad you're not a Jedi anymore. It's like those shock troop or whatever clones were walking her apart were just clearly had their chips dialed up to 10 still, like, fucking Jedi, I hate you. So they knew she was like, I mean, they had her fucking locked out. Whatever, it doesn't make sense to me. But clearly they have a purpose for her now. She is going to be given the opportunity to be trained to become an Inquisitor. And because whoever cuts these trailers now is dumb as shit and doesn't care about spoilers that I guess are going to be obvious. But literally, Nick, this trailer, they're like, oh yeah, one final step. You need the duel. And then the next shot is Barriss in full Inquisitor gear kneeling to Vader. So come on, people. Like, we're not stupid. Nick and I, we can kind of piece how that plot's going to go together, but you're just literally giving people the answers at this point in time. Like,
yeah.
Why even show that she needs to duel to the death when the next scene is, oh, she made it?
I mean, I don't know.
It was a bad trailer edit. Nothing against the show. That was just a fucking brain dead trailer edit. So anyways, other interesting things with Barriss. Like Nick said, I mean, she is going to be a bit hesitant. You know, Homeboy kind of picks up her training here and reminds her that mercy only breeds defeat, but I will help you overcome this weakness. Attack! So, you know, obviously, like you said, she kind of got her ass kicked here, but she's not running, doesn't seem too scared, and ultimately, as the trailer shows us, she fully embraces this new path for her. What else we got on Barriss that was interesting? Okay.
I mean, hopefully like, this is something that I really just wish that they would do is like, I hope what happens with her is not like, hey, look, here's this cool open ending from Tales of the Empire. We'll never see her again. Like, that is just like, it's classic Star Wars at this point, is to like set shit up like this and then never capitalize.
Well, if they give Barriss, whatever, her 45 minutes and by the end we have finality for her, I'll be fine. Like
if we get some sort of finality, like if she dies in this, then totally fine, or something else.
Well, Nick,
but like,
here's
a lot of,
at least my thought. Where the fuck is Reva?
Yeah, I mean, Reva may have been like a later addition.
Well, this is where timelines get weird. She'd be a kid right now, because we saw it. She was a fucking fucking Padawan when Order 66 happened. So is Barriss the third sister?
I mean, I don't know. At this point, I've lost track of all these named fucking Inquisitor people.
They're getting squirrely here, man. Like, she's got to be the third sister, and then Reva takes over that mantle at some point. I don't know, because she's not 1, she's not 2, she's not 4, she's not 5, she's not 6, she's not 7, she's not 8, she's not 9.
Maybe she's 11. Maybe there's 50 of them, and they all have numbers. Who the fuck knows? Like, this is like, I've never kept track of the Inquisitor numbers because they were always just so fucking hard to keep up with. And like,
the Grand's one, but he's really the Grand, and then you got Second, who was really only second because of a video game, and then you had 3, who was made for Kenobi. 4 was made for Kenobi.
It almost seems like they came up with this whole Inquisitorius thing, and they were like, oh yeah, we'll just like put placeholder numbers until we give them actual names. Well, they were like, oh, let's just never give them names.
Bat's got a good point. It's like Red 5. It's interchangeable. You know, once the pilot dies that was in Red 5, you become Red 5.
Maybe that's her story then, is like she becomes third sister and then Reva kills her, and I think Reva becomes third sister. I think that's probably
it. And I hope it is. Otherwise, like you said, it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do next? Like this is a character. Barriss is a character that needs a final conclusion. 100%.
Yeah, and it's like, I guess they're doing it now, and they're doing it this way, so people stop speculating. Like, oh, is this character Barriss?
Correct.
This character Barriss? What happened to Barriss?
This is Dave's way of just saying this is his final in our face. Your Marok theory sucks, right? Like, this is him proving how bad we all were with that. Sticking with Barriss, there is an interesting moment here, and it gets quick. The fourth sister is clearly fighting what has to be a Jedi. The Jedi not in their tunic. They got a blue blade. The Jedi seems to have dreads, and their skin color seems to not be white. All right. And then you can see it looks like Barriss is running towards this fight. Now, Nick, I'm not going to take full credit for this, even though I postulate like, hey, do we know this Jedi? Who could this be? This Diamond Figs character I've been talking about, he's putting out there that this could possibly be Luminara Unduli, Barriss's master.
That doesn't look anything like Luminara.
Well, I agree, because Luminara was more yellow complexion, and who knows, the lighting could be off. You got lightsabers reflecting.
It could be lighting. And also, I don't know if her hair looks like that.
She did have dreads underneath that big brown like nun hat she wore. Or at least the live action actress did when she had to get in costume. But again, I'm not taking full credit for this. Diamond Figs saying this is Luminara, and I'm not so cold on that speculation, because we do know at some point the Empire captures Luminara and essentially keeps her in zombie form, so her Force essence calls out to Jedi to make the Inquisitorius' job as easy as possible. Because they use it in Rebels. Like, I don't know if anyone remembers this. I believe it's season 1, but Kanan gets duped into almost getting himself caught because he's starting to sense Luminara. So I think this would be very cool if this is actually Luminara here. Having her apprentice now being an Inquisitor and seeing her master about to be captured or taken out. Or maybe that's why they keep her alive, because Barriss, pleads for it. Who knows?
I mean, I don't know. I think she's already dead. Like at least from what I'm seeing on Star Wars Wiki canon, she died. She got.
Yeah, but she's in that orange Imperial prison garb, though. It's not like.
It says, after a short time in the prison known as Spire on Stygian Prime, she was executed in her cell in the presence of the Grand Inquisitor.
Okay, well, they still have to catch her, right? So that's what I'm saying.
This happens like super early, yeah. Because this happens. I'm trying to see like timeline wise, like when this happens. I think it says. Maybe like this was like pretty close. So yeah, I mean, maybe this is how she got captured or something, but they have like, yeah, I mean, maybe
I'm telling you, man,
they're like retconning
it. They're not retconning anything. It says right here, she's a Jedi master who's among the Jedi that were killed that were killed during the rise of the Empire. Unlike most Jedi, she wasn't immediately killed during Order 66, but arrested. She was later executed by the Inquisitor. Imperials started rumors of her survival and used it as a ruse to lure active surviving Jedi to their deaths. So I think this fully lines up to kind of pay off on that canon, and that would be a nice touch as long as Barriss gets a little finality as well. I can get into that theory. What else we got here? Well, we know Barriss is going to win the duel, and she's going to join the deal. I love that we're going to get to see Homeboy, my man, the Dark Lord of the Sith. Sadly, Nick, even though Marok is there and Skeleton Face Guy, I still don't think we get anything from them. Do you? I mean, do they even talk? Do we get any meat from these two, or is the focus purely on Barriss?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be focused on Barriss pretty heavily since, we really just don't Marok seems like a character that they really don't care a lot about. And then, I don't know, Skeleton Face Guy, they might have a couple lines and stuff, but I don't think that there's going to be a heavy focus put on them. But they may just speak up from time to time. Yeah, so say a one-off bad guy line.
Whenever this is taking place is clearly set before the final episode of Ahsoka's Tales of the Jedi, because she takes Homeboy out. So interesting stuff here. I like that Barriss was the first one to kneel. I don't know if that's just she's the new kid, so she's just real quick to get down there and show her obedience. But I'm digging this. I think the Barriss episodes have the potential to really make fans feel satisfied finally about her journey.
Yeah.
What This Is the Way is saying here, he's got a tinfoil theory that Barriss is brought in to be a future nemesis to Ahsoka in season 2 or heir to the Empire. If you look, her scenes are a mirror of Ahsoka and Tea of the Jedi, yin and yang. The only problem with that is Ahsoka is stuck in another galaxy. And they already used Marok, so Barriss would be pointless at this point in time. It just narratively, and that's what Nick and I were saying last year when we were speculating for Ahsoka. That would have been the perfect time and would have paid off on what This Is the Way is saying. That would have been the mirror, and that's what we were saying. Hey, what if Barriss is doing exactly what Dave is making her do? So once again, the SWTS bros know all. We know Star Wars narrative and how they should be told. Thank you. But This Is the Way. I don't think that's going to work. They've moved beyond that, and I really hope Barriss gets put to bed literally by the end of this Tales of the Empire shit. If not, they better include her in whatever series they're going to have to explain Asajj Ventress's resurrection in. There you go. That could work too, right? You start bringing in some of these other characters from Clone Wars, you're starting to build your next animated series set maybe a little bit deeper into the Empire's rise.
Good. I mean, like I said, I hope that this Tales of the Empire stuff leads to something more. And right now we don't really have what's next for Star Wars animated after Bad Batch. We don't have a confirmed full-length series that's supposed to happen after. So maybe they're using Tales of the Empire as a way to introduce some of those character storylines, like you were saying, and then expand on it into something a bit bigger. I would really like that, and that's kind of what I was calling for earlier. Is just taking these things and building off of it. And I think that you could argue with Tales of the Jedi was a little hard to do. They already had the whole Clone Wars series, which is similar timeline to Tales of the Jedi season 1. So maybe with Tales of the Empire, they're setting up what their next animated is going to be. And I think
that's
that
a
would be
good question, Nick. Do you think they'll rotate between Jedi and Empire, or do they just keep expanding this? Because I hate to tease you here and spoil it, but we got a great question coming up from the fans. It's going to ask. I'll leave it be.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw it anyway. It's what other tales would you like to see?
Well, let's not give our answer, but do you think that we rotate back to Jedi in a season 3, or do we move to a whole other group?
I would hope to move to a whole like a
and
whole different
save
group.
your preferred group for the question.
Well, also, yeah, I'll save it. I just think that it's a good way to do, like, if they're doing it the way that it seems like they're doing it from season 2. It's just a cool way to give small storylines and build the lore of a specific group in a very easy and short manner. Like, I think that it would be cool to just keep kind of jumping around. And yeah, I'll save my answer for
save it. Bat threw a good one up there. It's like, I mean, technically they're showing up in Tales of the Empire, but you could make a case for a pure Tales of the Sith.
Good, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of and like, that gives you the opportunity to move timelines,
right?
And,
canonize some shit that's just been kind of legend adjacent. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I think that would be.
Bat saying he'd really like to see Vader kill her. This is now my favorite theory. Hey, you never know. If it's a bad day, he'll definitely do it.
I mean, it also makes sense if he if you are assuming that at this point there's still some Anakin left in him and he hasn't really fully transitioned over to Vader yet. He looks at Barriss and is like, "You're the person who fucked over my apprentice."
Bat, I believe, brought that up, and I missed it in the chat, but he kind of made the same point. He's like, what if some Anakin comes back out? All you're telling me, like, hey, he's beyond that. He's Vader now. He doesn't care about that shit. And really, knowing the Vader from the comics, I don't think he'd care either. But it would be a nice little callback. You understand, like, when the moment Anakin is Vader, he's done with all that bullshit. He just fucking hates himself, hates his boss, and hates everyone else. That's it. That's all he can think about is how much he hates everything. But I know you're like, well, if he hates her, is he? No, but he's not focused on like retribution. The only person he's pining for hard right now is Obi-Wan Kenobi, as was evident in the Kenobi series. I mean, he literally for 10 years was, working himself up, killing Anakin, hyping himself up, making the full transition. So who knows? I could see him killing her just to fucking do it, just to make a point. Or, maybe she does get a little insubordinate after she has to betray her former master. You got to think, even though she's gone a little loopy, being trained by someone your entire life, you may still have some emotions and feelings for them. Maybe. You never know.
Maybe.
You never know. You were my brother! That type of shit, right? I mean, look at Obi-Wan. He knew Anakin just genocided the Jedi Temple, tried to kill him, threw his wife off a ship, and he still couldn't finish the dude. So there's a lot to be said about that Master Padawan bond. All right, I think we kind of covered our tales. We'll see what Opus does if it clips anything out, if I ever get to that one. I'm almost caught up. The poster, very well done. Dig all this. It really, to me, the best part about this was the surprise reveal. It's very hard to surprise me these days, especially with Star Wars. So getting this out of nowhere, even though I was at the gym and couldn't get right to talking about it, was pretty awesome. Thank you, Lucasfilm. What do you think, buddy? You want to get in the Outlaws, or should we make a U-turn and go back to Bad Batch and save Outlaws for the end?
We could talk about Outlaws a little bit. Because I don't think that either of them are going to take long to talk about. All
right, yeah, let me set up Outlaws, because you, again, have some very strong opinions today, which is great. Strong opinions are what make listening to idiots somewhat interesting. Because
I will say, for those of you out there, my opinions are not about the story of Outlaws. It is more about the packaging and sale of Outlaws and how the gaming industry is just fucked.
Yeah, so let's do the positive stuff first, then you can bring it all down with the negative. All right, I like it.
Sounds good.
It's hard. Like I'm supposed to be the overly negative one, so I'm trying to go out of character to balance the show a bit today and try to bring some map positivity, which is usually tinged with negativity anyways, but I'm trying here. So
it's not. It's more for me. It's just disappointment. It's just disappointment.
Hey, man. We live in a capitalistic society that loves making as much money as possible at the expense of humanity. So that's just where we are. Until the workers decide and remind themselves that they have the power, this is the life we live. We're going to keep taking it up the ass, even though the economy is fantastic. Corporations can charge whatever the fuck they want, and if we pay for it, they will keep charging it and keep raising prices. That's just how it goes. Look at the distribution of wealth from COVID until now. It'll make you throw up. The motherfuckers took even more from us in the matter of 2 or 3 years. We give it to them. We're like, here you go. Here you go. Can I keep working 80 hours a week for you? Here you go. Here you go. Fuck my life. Here you go. All right, let's not go down that path. I'm telling you, one of these days I need to start a fucking political show, and then we will be popular, because our opinions, I don't know if you saw it, but we touched a nerve with some of our prequel content again with Ki-Adi-Mundi and some of the Acolyte hot takes we're putting out. And now one of their trolls for people like us, Nick, is that we're Democrats. Literally, someone said, their comment was, Democrats. I was like, oh boy.
How does that make any sense for anything we were talking about with Ki-Adi-Mundi?
Because we're not shitting on the Acolyte for having women, a trans showrunner, and we actually are excited about it. That makes us Democrats and woke. I was like, sweet, cool. You got it, pal. I ain't voting for those Looney Tunes anytime soon. I mean, we literally have a rogue political faction in America, and people are happy about it. All right. Anyways, back to Outlaws. You know, we've been talking about what's going on. I think it was just last week, in fact, really. What's going on with Outlaws? It's got to be coming soon. It's supposed to be coming out in March. Is it going to be a summer drop or a fall drop? Well, Nick, it's hitting that late summer drop, which is an odd release, in my opinion. This August 30th drop is kind of, it's a tweener. You usually want to release your big games May, June, and then sit for a bit and then wait for October, November, December to hit the holiday rush. But hey, for whatever reason, and Nick's going to talk about some of the price point reasons coming up, Ubisoft and Lucasfilm Games are dropping this bad boy August. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it August 20 or August 30? I typed 20. I think that's wrong. Who cares? It's coming out towards the end of August, and you're going to need a PC, PS5, or Xbox Series XS. We did get a story trailer, so there are some new details I want to cover real quick. I did kind of a guide for all you idiots that don't want to read multiple articles, so everything's kind of curated for you. Just click on the links, use your eyes and brain, you'll figure it out. But there are some good insights coming here from Julian Geraghty, the lead developer. We learned that, you know, Kay is going to be getting mixed up with this Slero character. I guess I should pop up some screens here. So Slero is the guy that, you know, he's got like that furry cloak on. He looks very regal. His base of operations is on Canto Bight. And Nick, we learned that he is actually the leader of a new syndicate called the Zarek Besh. Okay, so Slero is running the Zarek Besh. They're the guys that they kind of look like they're wearing welding helmets. So that's their syndicate. Which is cool. That's a brand new syndicate. And what we're being told here is that Kay essentially gets mixed up with Slero, which gets a bounty on her head, which leads to her getting another mission from this Kyle Katarn lookalike who is called Jalen. All right, that's not Kyle Katarn. This is Jalen. Even though I think they went a little too over the top with making this character look just like a fan favorite Legends character. It's a little much, people. Like, come on. If you're going to go this far, just fucking call him Kyle at least. All right, whatever. So Jalen, from what I read, Nick, he's kind of been in the game, the scoundrel game, for a while, and you know, he takes note of Kay Vess, our character, the up and comer, the new scoundrel, and knows she's in a bit of a trouble, so he knows like he can get her to help him, which I think is also going back after Slero. So it seems the whole story, obviously, is you as Kay kind of bumbling your way through the underworld of the Star Wars galaxy. You get yourself in hot water early on. You meet some other scoundrel types that are going to give you an opportunity to kind of get out of this hot water and buy your freedom as a scoundrel. You know, things that we always knew Han wanted to do, Chewie, all of them. They all want to make enough money so they can just do whatever the fuck they want, which is usually playing sabacc, drinking Spatska, and hooking up with alien babes, right? We also learned that due to getting mixed up with Slero and pissing him off, Slero is going to hire this bounty hunter called Vale. And unlike most bounty hunters of this time, or really in Star Wars, Vale's no nonsense. No bullshit, no crazy armor, no crazy tattoos, hairstyles, or helmets. She's just got her bandolier, her pistol, and her duster. And apparently Vale is an expert at hunting down bounties for whoever is going to pay her the most credit. So naturally, Vale is going to be one of the other antagonists for players in K to go against. We got the name of her ship, which clearly I didn't write down because I'm a dumb asshole. It does look like the ND5, which was the cool-ass droid we saw from the gameplay trailer. Based on this story trailer, Nick, it looks like ND5 was either working with Jalen originally, belongs to Jalen, and Jalen is more or less placing ND5 with K to help her execute the mission he sends her on. That's my guess. I don't know if you picked up on that, but it does look like ND5 is an original Jalen ally, and Jalen, through wanting to use K-Vest for a job, kind of links them up. I still think he looks rad. He's one of these, what are these, assassin droids from the Clone Wars? Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
He too is wearing a duster. It's great. Yeah, so those are like the main details, and we can go through some of the slides here. The big one. So in addition to learning about this new faction, the Zarek Besh, led by Slero, and clearly at the beginning, he's up there making a pitch like, hey, the Empire is awesome. It allows us to do whatever the fuck we want and make as much money as we can make, as long as we all can kind of get along and not fuck with each other. So the syndicates that will be featured in the game that you'll be interacting with and can either be in their favor or in their spotlight are going to be the Hutts, which we knew, the Pikes, Crimson fucking Dawn, and another new clan, the Ashiga clan, which are going to be on Kijimi, the planet introduced in The Rise of Skywalker. So the interesting thing about Crimson Dawn, and I wrote Kiera in my notes, and sure as shit, it's her. It's been confirmed by Game Informer. Kiera is the Crimson Dawn representative in the trailer you saw. But, or maybe that's not her. This is her. We got a shot of her at least. There she is. That's her. Here's the kicker, and this is just like, is it the actor or was it the studio being cheap? Emilia Clarke, not involved.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's just going to cost a lot of money to get her to do it, I would imagine.
Yeah, they typically... I think Oscar Isaacs is the only guy, at least from recent live-action Star Wars, that has agreed to do like cartoon other work.
Yeah,
because you're right. Everyone else they got other actors to do their voices, but
yeah, and I think that the original actors did the voice for Battlefront 2, voices for Battlefront 2, maybe Battlefront 1 as well. But yeah, after it's been so long since Amelia's done anything Star Wars related, this wasn't worked into a previous contract where voice work that happened around the release of the sequel trilogy may have been stipulations in contract, hey, you also have to do promotional and voice work for these other properties that are coming out. Yeah, they made her
do live action MCU.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
punishment.
So yeah, I don't know. They may have reached out to her, but then she also could have been yeah, I'm not doing voiceover for your video game.
I don't really think she's working too much either. Let's hope she finds some work, but I don't feel too bad for her. So it's cool. I mean, Crimson Dawn makes complete sense to be in this game at this time, getting mixed up in a game about scoundrels. So I dig it. At this point in time, it's set between Empire and Jedi. So in game, we may very well get some insights or some narrative reveals about what Crimson Dawn was doing, and that was literally trying to organize all the syndicates against each other to ultimately take out the Sith. I mean, she organizes the auction of Han Solo and Carbonite. She steals some of these crazy devices that are supposed to be able to. It's like the Fermata cage where she could trap Sith in it for eternity. I mean, she was really doing some shit, and she ultimately fails, as we know. She survives. She doesn't end up getting killed, but she does fail. So I wonder if they will kind of get into the Crimson Reign plot points at all.
Yeah, I mean, because you see Kay at Jabba's palace with Han already there.
Oh yeah, so
I'm assuming this is post the sale, like the auction.
You would be correct. You are right.
Yeah.
I forgot that. Yeah, he does indeed show up. So this would be post the auction because Jabba does end up ultimately getting him back after he gets shot out into space, and Boba Fett has to fly out there and catch him in carbonite to take back the Jabba the Hutt. But that's comics for you people. You never know. So yeah, and that's the thing. Like these syndicates, they're almost players in the game because you will be given jobs or you can do things to piss them off. And depending on where you're at or what world you're on, they may be sending bounty hunters after you or other shit to fuck with you, or you may get extra contracts or other ways to kind of level up your character.
You're like syndicate ranking or something like that. Like I wonder if it is truly going to be like the Paragon system where you can like get points with each faction.
I think you're onto something. What I do know for a fact is it doesn't ultimately affect the outcome of the game. There aren't different endings.
Yeah.
But from what I've read, Nick, I think you're spot on. You will either be in favor or out of favor depending on how you act with a specific syndicate.
That makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, I like everything that I've heard about the game seems really cool. Like I do think it's a
Canto
fun
Bight,
direction.
Buddy. That's Kay's home planet. We learned she grew up on the streets of Canto and Slero. This is where the home base of the Zarek Besh will be. So we'll get to see more of Canto Bight. Maybe those dumb fucking horse things, right? Might get to see some of those.
Frothier,
yeah, there you go. The
whatever they're called.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like hopefully we get to see something. I don't think the whole planet is a casino, but maybe it is. Maybe we get to see some more of Canto Bight and see what's around there. But really, just like the gameplay aspect of it, you're not playing a Force user. You're playing like a regular character. The story is set in an interesting setting within Star Wars, like where you're working with or working through a lot of these syndicates. Your character is a smuggler / scoundrel, which again, like you said, is very reminiscent of Han Solo, and the story that is being told about her is also very reminiscent of Han Solo, having gotten into debt or like have bad favor with a syndicate leader because of a job that you did with them didn't go well. I mean, I'm really interested, and it also looked cool. Like all the locations that were shown off in the trailer seem really interesting. It doesn't seem like you're going to be hopping from snow planet to desert planet to snow planet to desert planet, which is nice. So I am interested. I'm really interested in this game much more than the Jedi series or the Fallen, whatever the fuck it's called. Like
close enough.
Yeah, like
Jedi
Fallen,
whatever the fuck it's called.
Whatever.
3
Yeah.
is coming out in a couple years.
Yeah, so I do think that this is a really cool direction for Ubisoft to have taken with the license. And I am interested in playing it.
Remember, first open world, like this is going to be an entire new Star Wars gaming experience. I don't want that to be lost on anyone. I mean, even if you're like, oh, well, I can't play a character with a dick and balls, so fuck this game. It's going to be, yes, we've played this genre in other franchises before, but not Star Wars. We've all been pining for something like this. So those of you out there that might, have some odd cultural hard-on here, try to get over that shit and give it a play. Experience some open world Star Wars to see if it's as great as all of us have kind of speculated it would be.
Yeah, I am very interested to see what sales figures of this game looks like, especially because of the release date that they've chosen. Like you prefaced the story ahead by saying, I checked, the release date is August 30th.
I wrote 20 as many times as I could. It's like I had 20 in my head and I wasn't coming off of it.
Yeah.
Shit.
I mean, it's just weird. Like if you know anything about release periods, or if you've, been in the gaming industry or been a gamer for a long time, like the reason that you have summer releases and then holiday releases is for very obvious reasons. 'Cause that's when fucking kids are off of school.
August 20th is like return to school for everybody, like college and K through 12. Yeah,
like my birthday is August 19th. And my birthday almost always fell on the first week of school back. Oof. Like my birthday was always like, oh, your birthday's the first day of school. Congratulations. Yay. Or it was like the first week of school, which sucks. And the fact that this game is releasing on August 30th is just so weird because kids are full-time back in school. You could argue that like, oh, well, they have the Labor Day holiday that's coming up. But like no fucking game does a release for Labor Day holiday. It's a 3-day weekend. Like it's just a little weird. And then also for those of you who aren't aware, like obviously the base price of the game is going to be the standard $70. So $69.99 for whatever platform you're buying it on. But like the thing that really annoys me is that like they have these two other purchase options, which I mean, nobody is forced to buy. But one of them is $110 that comes with the season pass of a video game, which is always a scam and never buy it. But also you get early access. You get early access to play the game, this single player experience game. So having early access gives you no benefit at all. You just get to play the game 2 days earlier.
Hey man, I gotta get in FOMO.
Yeah. Or you buy the $140 pack, so full double the cost of the game, the base game, and that gets you you get early access, you get 2 extra days, you get early access, and you get some in-game items. So you get the season pass early access, and then you get some skin packs.
So you're looking at like 70, 110, and 130, right?
Yeah, I think 130 or 140. Yeah, but yeah. So those are your purchase options. It just seems so weird that they're not just waiting until holiday to do it. Because I really do think that having a release like this it may have an effect on sales.
Oh, dude,
because
it's suspect. I mean, sometimes the publishers will drop them now because they don't believe in it. They're like, well, if it hits, we're going to look like geniuses for bucking a trend, or if it doesn't, well, hey, it was just an August release anyways. We didn't have high expectations. So
yeah, so it's like that's the only weird thing for me around this is the release date, and then obviously like the dumbass packages where you pay $40 more for
I know
nothing.
I'm 100% going to be getting that 110 if I can't get a free copy from my old contacts. But yeah,
no,
I'll be getting in there like, yeah, sure. Hey, Labor Day coming up. I could use a few extra days head start to get in here, and then ultimately my gaming ADD will kick in, and I'll stop playing it with like an hour. So.
Yeah.
So I've been Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and that it kind of cheats because it's Final Fantasy VII, but man, that just has me locked in, dude. I love Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, Barrett, Red. And the music. So good. So good.
Hey, yeah. I mean, I hope the game does well, because this is the first, this is the first game that's been fully developed outside of EA that we've gotten in a while. Like all of the previous Star Wars games that we've gotten since the acquisition by Disney have been fully developed under and through the EA license. Obviously, there were maybe a one-off mobile game or something like that wasn't. But this was kind of what we've been hoping for a while. Like this is the type of game that we've wanted, and I really hope that Ubisoft can deliver a really good experience. The one thing I know is a fucking consistent issue with Ubisoft games is launch.
Launch is
bad. They always
fucking
suck at launch. And for those of you out there, and I know that there probably aren't many of you, but
drop the bomb on them.
Yeah, like one of the weird stipulations to this game is even if you buy a physical copy of it, like even if you have the disc in hand, you still need to be connected to the internet to install it on your system.
Oh, that's because it's going to download another 60 gigs because they can't fit it all on those discs.
So it's like, it's just odd that you need an internet connection to install a physical game. That's just how I don't know why they chose to do it that way. Maybe it is a space thing, but if that's the case, I guarantee just don't have a fucking disc.
Yeah, I guarantee. I mean, games these days, Nick, if they are truly made for next gen, they don't fit on media anymore. They just don't.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just a little weird, and I know that 99.9% of people who would play this game have the internet anyway. But it is just like one of those point, though, Nick, if
1 million people are trying to, ping the Ubisoft authentication server, it could run into problems and outages. So you are not wrong. I mean, it's gotten a lot better, but I can tell you, growing up in the start of online gaming, you pretty much had to cross your fingers that the game was going to work the first night if it needed networking capabilities.
Yeah, it was really bad. So, and I mean, I just hope that they are prepared for a launch. We already know that this game was essentially finished and then
dude, they delayed. Won't. They do it every time. Like, it's like, I really think it's just the cheapness of the suits, not the actual developers and people that work on the game. It's a money thing. Oh, yeah, fuck it. We don't know. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, but we have data, visual analytics. Like, it's a thing now. AI can even predict. They're like, nah, fuck it. They'll only be mad for a little bit and shit us on social media. In the end, it'll just drum up interest and more news for the game. So any press is good press.
Yeah. Bat says that he's not going to get it because he doesn't want to buy a new system.
Oh, I read it. I thought he's like, I don't like women. I thought
I'm going to say this, Bat. It's not a new system anymore. You just have an old system.
I mean, dude, I believe this is year 3 or 4 of the 5 and the Series X.
I think it's 4. So like, you really can't use the excuse of like, if I can't play it on my system, I'm not gonna play it anymore. You just have an old system and you don't want to upgrade. Like, I don't think it has to do.
You better watch out, motherfuckers. Nick is teaching lessons today. This kid's cooking.
It's also like, we can't, like, at this far into a game series, like, or this far into a console series, like into a console generation, you have to stop developing for the old consoles.
It went a little too long, and I credit that to COVID and whatnot, and the fact that they couldn't even make the new consoles because the hardware wasn't available. But hope this game goes to Games Pass, because then you could stream it to the Xbox One through Xbox Cloud Gaming. So you got that option.
Maybe. But yeah, I just
speaking of the hardware, I mean, dude, how fucking supreme do these visuals look, by the way?
They look great.
And it was all in game. Like, they made sure, like, this ain't bullshit.
In engine footage, yeah.
I mean, my God, look at the clarity, and clearly this is the PC version, but I don't think the consoles are going to be that far off. But man, talk about some detail. I mean, the Jabba the Hutt and his palace really stood out to me. The lighting they got going in there in a fucking video game. I mean, that shot of Jabba, if you just do a quick glance at it, you're like, oh yeah, that's from Return of the Jedi. And it's like, no, it's a video game.
Yeah, I mean, visual fidelity is like, it's really ridiculous. Good. It is really good.
That's why I appreciate the fact that I am like a pioneer of gaming, and I've literally gamed from 4, 6, 8-bit all the way up until, what are we at now, like 5 billion bit.
Yeah, I don't even know if
and as a kid, it's just, you know what I mean, though, because you were kind of in that era too. You're always like, oh, the graphics are going to get so good one day. That day's, it's here, and it's been here. And because I tie myself up with other useless shit that gets me nowhere in life, I just don't get to appreciate it and experience as much. But man, games look the way I thought they would look back when I was a kid. We were truly getting to lifelike quality, even with humans. It's wild. All right.
Yeah. No. I'm cautiously optimistic for this game, and the only reason that I'm cautiously optimistic of it is because it's made by Ubisoft, and Ubisoft has not had a good track record recently.
I hear you.
Yeah. And like, it sucks because I really can't name a big publisher that has a good track record anymore. Like EA, Ubisoft, and Activision all blow.
Rockstar,
like
because they make
yeah,
a game
Rockstar,
and then just focus on it for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is like, if you really look at the game, like the game developers and publishers that have good runs, it's Nintendo, and it's only because they make their they only make their own games, and they put them out whenever they are ready to. Like they don't have a schedule where it's like we're putting out a new Mario game every year. Like they just they come up with an idea, they develop it at their own pace, and they release it. And that's the same thing that like Rockstar does. Rockstar does the same thing. They're like, look, yeah, you're gonna make fun of us about like us releasing 5 versions of GTA 5 and supporting this game for 10 years,
well,
but like
they make enough money doing it, so
yeah,
right, who gives a shit? And you made a great point on Nintendo. They don't get caught up in the we got a hot IP, let's sequel the fuck out of it, because the most recent example, this year they're like, hey, who cares about a Mario game? Princess Peach. And it's fucking, it's a killer game. Obviously it has influences from Mario, but my kid got it, and I'm watching her play. I'm like, this is actually really entertaining. It's not even like they're innovative. They don't retread. So everything kind of always does feel new and fresh and exciting to try out on Nintendo's platforms. I mean, Nick, they don't even give a fuck about hardware, graphics, or anything. They don't care. They're all about the gaming experience. They don't give a shit about visuals, sound, console power. I mean, how the Switch has been going for how many years now? Probably 7 or 8.
I think the Switches came out in 2016 or 17, right?
Yeah, it's so. But they also don't get games like this. So if you really want the best of both worlds or all worlds, you got to be like me, and probably like Nick. Even though he shits on them all, he's got all the consoles too. It's something.
I do. It's it's funny. I just I've been at Taylor and I moved into this house May of last year. I literally just unpacked my Xbox Series X and put it on the shelf.
I have not turned on my Xbox in probably 6 months. PS5 has been kind of.
Dude, I saw a developer that literally it was unattributed quote, but it was from a large video game developer, and their quote was, "I don't even know why I waste my time making stuff for Xbox when all of my sales come from PS5 and PC."
It's sad. I don't know what's happening. I mean, I'll always be an Xbox. I'm not listen, I don't get into console wars either. I get jobs, make money, and buy them all because that's the way to do it. Is it console wars as bad as they used to be, Nick, when we were in it? Or?
Oh no, because I don't think that one, I think that Xbox is clearly.
But even PS5 is considered a failure this run, because it just, I guess they're already planning to move beyond it. Sony is. So.
I mean, I think that all of them, even I think Phil Spencer came out and said the next generation is going to be the biggest performance leap, and it's like, yeah, sure, I'm sure it will be, but I think they're all console generations are just kind of getting shorter, and I think that both PlayStation and Xbox are ready to move on from this one for whatever reason.
COVID fucked it. Come on, I mean, it destroyed them. They released it, I think, the winter of or fall of 19, and then the world shut down for 2 years. So it's tough to make shit and distribute it across the world when the world's not functioning.
Yeah. And also here's one thing that Microsoft needs to stop doing. Needs to stop competing with itself. If you put out all of your games on PC, I'm not going to buy your console.
Right.
It's just dumb. You're making money from your video game sales on PC, but your console is a loss leader and you're not even selling them. So you're losing even more money.
Well, they just need assholes like me to keep paying the Xbox Game Pass monthly fee and not use it. So that helps a lot, Nick.
I hit that 2 year. I got the Xbox Series X with that 2 year thing. It was you get 2 years free, and I never paid.
I really do need to get one of those apps that you just plug in all your credentials, and it's hey, asshole, you're spending $500 a month and you only use 2 things.
Yeah, that definitely.
I know, Paramount Plus. I got to get rid of that shit. I got to refigure out my Disney Plus, because I'm paying just for Disney Plus, and it's more expensive than the bundle with Hulu. I think I'm doing the same thing with Max. I'm doing the same thing with my home internet. I'm paying $120 for home internet right now, where if I just call them and say, hey, this is too much, they'd be like, all right, $60. I'm just too fucking lazy to do it. I'm just too lazy.
We do a pretty good job about using, like, we use all of our streaming platforms. As funny as that sounds, like we watch Netflix, we watch Hulu, we watch Disney Plus, we watch Paramount Plus, and we watch HBO Max. I use all of them.
No right keeping Paramount Plus on as much as I do. I mean, Star Trek Discovery just hit season, so I might as well keep paying for it. But I finished Halo. I should have just stopped when a new show comes in, renew. I'm a lazy piece of shit, and I know I'm losing hundreds of dollars a year. But oh well, such is life. I also buy Barbies all the time too, so I like lighting money on fire. All right, there you go. That's our Outlaws. I think that's good enough. Yeah.
Outlaws, yeah. It'll be fun. Hopefully it'll be fun. Hopefully it releases, there's no issues, and we can just enjoy this really nice Star Wars single player experience that we've been asking for years.
Yeah,
hopefully it just goes like that.
Yeah, 1-6 shooter. He does not like the Deadeye issue with the characters in the game. I didn't think it was bad, but yeah, we're the Uncanny Valley has not been solved.
It's getting close. Like that's for sure starting to become an issue in some games. Is like that Uncanny Valley type of feeling,
which is weird because with the advancement of AI and how many new tools are coming out literally every week, you can clone videos, like make videos of people now that look perfect.
Pretty good. Like JRO saying he's still rocking a Xbox 360.
That's hardcore. I have one JRO that I kept, and it's got all the old Guitar Hero and Rock Bands loaded on it. So it's just
dude, that's the perfect reason to have.
Yeah, it's a party console. It's like every 2 or 3 years, get around some of my old friends. Like, hey, you want to get the axes? Yeah,
dude,
the party's all right.
Perfect reason to have one.
No, now I'm just a dumb fucking trying to learn the real version. It's like, it was so much more fun when you just hit color plastic buttons and move your fingers really fast and look like you know what you're doing.
That's very true.
All right, buddy. It is Bad Batch time. I mean, we talked before. We kind of spit some fire at it when we kicked off the show, but this week brought us The Juggernaut. Season 3, episode 12 of the Bad Batch's final season. And, it was another short one, 23 minutes, nice and quick. And, I'll kind of let you kick things off, but I don't think this was the type of episode many fans were looking for, especially coming off of those heavy hitters we had last week. So what say you about The Juggernaut?
So, I mean, I think you guys heard me. I think it was trash. And like, here's the point where I'm at in Star Wars. I just don't want to. I'm not going to sugarcoat shit anymore. Like when when something's not good, it's just not good. But then also, like, I'm going to heap praise on stuff when it deserves it. And this episode does not deserve it. Like, this episode was basically just ripped off of 2 other Star Wars properties, like straight ripped off. Like it was ripped off by, as you mentioned before we went live, Matt, from Jyn Erso's escape from Rogue One, and it was ripped off of Mando season 2, episode 15, the one with Burr. Like, it's just straight up copied.
Definitely some similar tropes in there. I mean, an identical situation in a prison break from Rogue One. And then the planet and the idea of using these turbo tanks to shuttle people back and forth from the Mando, for sure.
Yeah. And my main issue with it is this whole season, like, one of the primary storylines is like, hey, well, how are we going to get to Tantus? How are we going to find our way to Tantus? And like, we always thought that, like, oh, they're making headway. Like, maybe this meeting with Asajj will give them something else to move into to get to it. Or maybe, they can, like, we know that Cad Bane is running bounties for, these M count bounties for Tanis. Maybe they're going to try to tail this guy somehow and find their way to that substation and then find a way to Tantus from there. There were so many different possibilities, and the one that they went with was, let's break Admiral Rampart out of an Imperial prison in a way, in a fashion that literally matches the 2 things that we just said, and involves a character that should by all rights be fucking dead.
That was the biggest affront, I think, is, I mean, come on, people. Having Rampart spared starts to chip away at the legend of Emperor Palpatine and his expert in supervillainy. How do you do that? Like, how in the flying fuck do you leave an admiral that you already made a patsy, the scapegoat, like Palpatine himself in the driver's seat? Watch out! Right there in the Senate in front of everybody. I mean, Rampart knows everything. He knows what the Empire did to Camino. He knows they genocided them. He knows about Tantus. How do you let this man live? It is mind-boggling. That is an egregious narrative oversight by the people over at the Bad Batch, and I'm surprised that Dave signed off on it, because it is so anti what Palpatine would have done in that situation. It makes no sense. I don't feel like fans were clamoring for closure on Rampart because we had it. When you see Palpatine in the Senate go, he's a bad guy, arrest that man, you just figure they're fucked. We didn't need any resolution with this character, and now he just makes the Empire and Palpatine himself look like a bozo. And I have never said ever that Palpatine is a bozo, because I've always found him to be one of the greatest supervillains of all time, because he actually executed his plan twice.
Yeah, 2 times.
But no, let's fucking leave this guy alive that knows all the secrets that could unite the entire galaxy against us. I mean, if Rampart comes out, oh, hey, by the way, Empire genocided a race of people. We should watch out for them. You might not want to let them on your planet. No, let's let them hang out at a fucking prison. That is bunk. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Like my thought was, I was like, okay, well, yeah, they'll arrest this guy, they'll walk him out, and then as soon as they're on the ship, they're going to shoot him in the head and throw him out the airlock. Like, it's over for him. Like, this dude, like, literally last season, you set this dude up to take your big fall. Yeah. Like, hey, all of this, I don't know what happened. Like, it's this guy's fault. Whatever went wrong was this guy's fault. It's taken care of. Boom. Why do you throw him in prison? Like, are you dumb? Did somebody not get an order? Like, what the fuck happened? And I don't know if there's going to be more like explanation that's given to us next week. Maybe there will be, but I don't think that there is any amount of explanation that you can give that would make it okay that this dude is not at the bottom of a ditch, floating through space, doesn't have a head, whatever. Like, your choice,
barbecued from Force lightning.
Like, pick which way you want to kill this dude, but like, he's got to be dead. And not only so, like, that just annoyed me, because when they said when Crosshair said Rampart, I was like, you surely cannot mean the same person as I think you're talking about, right? Like, there's no fucking way. But like, it also just like, it's such a just like a fucking left turn out of nowhere, where it's like, this character was never mentioned in this season at all. We had so much shit that was like, here's a way you could figure it out, or here's like, maybe you can do it this way, maybe you can do it this way. We thought it was going to be Sid. Like, something happened to Sid. They go find Sid after she got in trouble with the Empire, and maybe she can hook them up, because she's been setting up the M-count bounties for these other bounty hunters. Like, she's got to have in any of the multiple avenues that they set up, and their choice was to break out the one person that should be dead because the Empire set him up as a patsy to break out of Imperial prison, and he still doesn't know how to get there.
But he knows a guy that knows a way.
Yeah, it's like, maybe I know a guy that knows another guy that can fucking.
That's in one of my highs. We'll get to. But yeah, this coordinate thing, I think it's a little bit deeper than just who knows the coordinates. It sounds like they're somehow able to rotate them, or it's on like a rotating system that no one ever truly knows the coordinates at any certain time.
Could be. I mean, it could be that they're and here's the thing is like, even if it is something cool like that, where it's like they figured out a way to change the positional
like if
coordinates
it's
of the
some
planet.
planetary wall or shield that masks the planet, because you would think that it's going to be in the database somewhere in the galaxy, but they're able to almost make it invisible.
Exactly. But like, even if that's your end game, why the fuck is Rampart involved? Like that could have come from any other direction. So yeah, I mean, overall, this episode just completely a disappointment because it wasn't original even in its conceit of what they were doing, because it had literally been done before almost in the exact same fashion. And then you're involving a character that nobody cared about anymore, that like you said, we didn't need any sort of finality for this character. Like,
he had a clear story path. He was the main villain for the first season and a half, and then he wasn't.
Yeah, and then he gets fucked. And like, you're like, boom. And when we got fucked, or when he got fucked, we were like, look at that. That's exactly what the Empire does, even to its own. It will throw you to the side and get rid of you as soon as your usefulness is used up. And like, so now what? This dude comes back and like maybe helps them get there. And then what? Does he die now? Like, what's going to happen to him now? Like,
he is,
now that
we're going to learn
alive,
that he is related to Agent Callus, and that's why Callus ultimately has a turn many years down the road.
Because like I'm struggling to see. It's like, okay, you have voluntarily reinserted this character back into this show.
Well, you would hope that the writers at least write him now hating the Empire. You would hope that he is.
But it doesn't seem like it, right?
No, he's still an arrogant cocksucker. That's for sure. Yeah.
Like, at least from what we've seen so far, it doesn't seem like he's like, let me help you guys out to get back to him.
He thinks he's still the admiral. That's for sure. I mean, he still had that arrogance to him. I mean, listen, I did like Rampart as a villain, and but I thought he had a good little narrative run. He did not need to be brought back. It is just stupid. So, listen, I'm not as upset and angry as Nick. Like, I'm never gonna call Star Wars trash outside of some of the opinions fans come up with. Those are trash. But no, listen, he's not wrong. This was not the right episode to follow what we just come off of in 10 of 11. The narrative choices were silly. I've never, ever, ever thought of Palpatine as a, mustache twirling, stereotypical villain. And these choices kind of make him look that way right now. It's odd, especially when the Empire, without thought, will kill officers if they come out of hyperspace too early.
Yeah, dude. Okay?
Like Darth Vader, we saw him do it a lot in the OT. If his officers didn't say yes, sir, the right way, he'd kill them. But yet we have an admiral that knows way too much about super secret shit. Oh yeah, fuck it. We'll just lock him away on a prison and he'll hang out with an Ugnaught and they won't be able to communicate with each other. It is silly. And again, it's not filler because, technically we did learn there's another way to get these fucking coordinates we've been looking for since episode 1, but it's as damn close as it gets. I feel very uncomfortable with that F word around Star Wars, but this, Nick and I look like assholes right now for how we were calling the Asajj Ventress episode basic and Pabu-like. This is Pabu. Like, this is this season's Pabu, the Pabu episode from last season. It was, it robbed the action beats from other properties, so it really wasn't that new. Yes, it looked cool. It was awesome. It proved once again that the Empire, if they kept clones, would have wiped out the galaxy in a week. But overall, we saw most of it in the trailer. No joke, in the trailer. If you watch the minute clip that released yesterday, you saw the other half of the episode. The Rampart narrative decision, highly, highly questionable. Seems like someone was on drugs. Someone lost a bet. It is very unlike, in my opinion, Dave's team to make that type of choice. I don't understand it. there better be some sort of crazy ass payoff. Otherwise, it is completely stupid, useless, and a waste of time.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's sometimes where we watch this stuff, like where we're watching Star Wars animated and like, you know, the show's made for kids. Some of our complaints are around like, you know, like probably decisions that were made to make it for kids. But like, this isn't even like one, I would like, it's hard to argue that the Bad Batch is made for kids because it's really not like the Clone Wars. It does have a much more mature tone. The whole ethos of this show is the systematic oppression and destruction of the galaxy, and it's not real. Like they don't really pull punches on it either. Like there are some, like obviously, you know, it's not like blood flying everywhere like a Quentin Tarantino film, but like the themes and the episodic beats of this show are just not like the Clone Wars, where it was like clearly a little bit more kid friendly. So you can't even argue that like some of the decisions that are being made here are to like keep it kid friendly. It's just
rated
bad
TV
story.
PG, Nick. I wanted to get that in there.
So it's not even like G. Like G is the kid, you know, like the hardcore
parental
kid
guidance. Yeah.
So like, but like it just doesn't make sense in terms of the storytelling. It's like why, like. What the fuck? Like, I guess the only argument that you could have is because Tantus is so secretive that only an Imperial officer would know how to get there, but that's not even true.
He doesn't know how to get there.
Yeah, like
he knows that the system that lets people get there. Maybe.
Yeah, and it's like
you know what's funny, dude? We're so spun up on the Erebus stuff. We haven't even touched on the Tantus stuff, which was even more useless.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
like how many times I don't know, you know, if the writers were just like, hey, do you think they're going to understand Omega's role in Project Necromancer? Let's remind them every week
Again.
Now. Like every week, let's just literally say the same shit over and over, so the slower fans out there can finally put two and two together. I mean, once again, we got nothing from Tantus. Based on all the information we had last week. Again, great episodes, but where was the follow-up? Nothing. We knew Omega was being taken there. Big deal. We knew she was going to be taken to Dr. Carr. Big deal. We knew she was going to end up in the vault. Big deal. It's what was the point? Like, why did we even have a Tantus check-in? You should have used those 3 or 4 minutes to flesh the mission out better and maybe pick a better person to go find than Rampart, who should be rotting, dead, decay.
And like, here's something. I mean, like, this is just like broad storytelling tactics. Like, if you are telling something, if you have made up something in your story that's so complicated that you constantly need to remind people or like go over how it works again, you built it wrong. Like you just didn't do it good.
Well,
and like
I think most of us figured it out week one, or literally after the first episode when her blood rang true. Like, okay, she can accept. I mean, it made it pretty clear. I really think that they just think we're all dumb as shit because they read all the dummies on social media. Like, hey.
Maybe
this guy, this fucking idiot. Like you remember the people that thought Ahsoka took place in between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. These are the people we're dealing with. So let's really spell shit out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I just don't know if they should.
Are you clear on it though, Nick? Omega's role, no, you good? Like Omega, as you said, is the binding agent. I mean, he even said it this week. He's like, yes, we need you to accept Force juice so it doesn't degrade, and these are the people that we will be sucking that juice from and mixing it with your juice. Yeah, and like it's very clear to me, and like apparently they are not sure if it's very clear to other people, which is why they keep saying it. But like if that was the case, then just revisit your storytelling and be like, okay, if we're worried that people are not going to be clear on this and it is a real concern, and it clearly is for them, find a better way to tell the story. Like I like right. That's just like, it may sound obvious, but like you are professional TV writers, and this isn't fact. This isn't like This isn't nonfiction. This is all made up. So make up something that's better.
or make up something that's easier to understand.
Or just move
Or a
on for
different way.
and get into the mystery that people and you and I want to know. Like, why is Omega's blood this way? Why? What did Nala say do to her that she didn't do to all the other clones? That's the interesting part. Not the fact that it was established in episode fucking 3 or 2 that her blood can accept force and not degrade it. That's been literally resolved for weeks.
I mean, all this shit just spins off of midichlorians, which came from the prequels, which came from George Lucas's head. So
Thank you, Georgie boy.
So obviously there's only so much that people can do about it now. But I just think that they clearly aren't even, they are not confident in their own storytelling because they need to keep saying it. If they were confident that hey, what we have put together is very clear and easy to understand, and the audience should have no trouble grasping it, they wouldn't have brought it up so many times. And the fact that, like you said, we were given an entire, scene sequence on Tantus that told us what we've heard for the last 5 episodes just goes to show that they're not confident in their own ability to relate this information to the audience. So they should have taken some time and thought about how to repackage it in a way that they didn't have to say it 5 times or keep saying it over and over again. And my problem with any property is always going to be around the storytelling. It's not going to be around the characters that are involved and whether they're whether they're men or women or whether they're this race or not. I don't care about that. I care about the quality of the storytelling, and I feel like the quality of the storytelling in this particular episode was awful in every way. And it's really hard for me to understand how you're 3.5 seasons in, or you're 2.5 seasons into a 3-season long series, and you're dropping the ball like this. It's questionable, and and I'm sure that it's going to end well because it really can't not end well. This show is going to end in a very explosive fashion, and it's probably fun, but it's probably going to be bad.
It's the WWE outside doing atomic head drops on the grass, right, buddy?
Oh yeah.
I told everyone about your
Thingy.
Your fun night there. Yep.
Mom got pink lemonade.
Ooh, look at that.
Nice.
I can smell dinner. It's smelling good.
Yeah.
All right, good to see you. Are you feeling better?
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
Nice. Glad she's feeling better.
All right. Yeah, I mean, listen, I know it's starting to get a little grating, the negativity, so I'm going to move on here. I still enjoyed myself today. I was just a little disappointed in the direction they chose to take in this episode. It just didn't feel like the right move coming off of the momentum that was built up in 10-11. But listen, the season's not over yet. We can't light this thing on fire. We can't crucify the Bad Batch team yet. We got to let it play out. Then we can start taking flamethrowers to the entire franchise if warranted. But, Nick, there was a top moment. I know you're rolling your eyes, and I struggled myself to kind of find some, but I was like, hey, I might as well bring this one up because it looked cool and showed just the power and the efficiency of the clones, and that is the tank joust. All right, it was fun. Okay, you've seen those big turbo tanks charging each other. Instead of having their lances, they're shooting missiles and guns and whatnot. You got Hunter hitting the ramp over top of the dead one. And yes, I know it was callbacks to Mando and Rogue One, but the entire kind of heist there, whatever the hell they were doing on those turbo tanks, it was neat. It was what I call, that is Star Wars action, right? That's vintage Star Wars action. You had some air vehicles mixing up with ground vehicles, people in armor fighting other people in armor. But more importantly, it just showed that 3 clones were able to infiltrate a highly secured Imperial prison, infiltrate one of their turbo tanks carrying prisoners, take a high-value asset in a former admiral, and get away with it. All while the Empire throws, platoon after platoon after platoon of stormtrooper at them. So as we've said many, many times before, if Tarkin wasn't in control of the budget, the Rebel Alliance would have never existed. Never. The moment a system pops off, you send some of these motherfuckers there, you could send 6 of them and essentially take out a city. So, yeah, there's our top moment, young Nick. And the eggs are even worse. We've talked about them a million times. Rampart is back. He does look sexy with the beard. Not going to lie, I do like the beard look. And you have to appreciate that even after all this time being incarcerated, he is still a grade A Imperial officer dickhead. Like, just beyond arrogant, thinking he has a leg to stand on. I mean, he's as vintage Imperial officer as it gets. And the Rogue One save that we brought up 1,000 times was also in our reference breakdown. So yeah, that's about it for Juggernaut. Definitely a little disappointing. Didn't really move the plot much more than a few millimeters. And we got 3 left. 3 episodes to close out this season. I'm hoping the final episode is longer than 25 minutes because it is just a single run. So I am a little concerned. At least the way the schedule shakes out now, we are single runs until the end of the series. And if the series finale is your standard 25 to 23 minutes, I think that is going to be a travesty. I really hope that's not the case. What we got next week? I know we never pregame here.
Let's see. Yes.
Title names. I think, is it Into the Breach is next week?
It might be. That does sound familiar. It is Into the Breach, indeed.
And then after that is...
After that is the Flash Strike, and then
the
after
cavalry.
That is the Cavalry has arrived.
Yeah, I mean, clearly the finale is going to be the team finally finding her. So over the next 2 episodes, they're still going to be bumblefucking around trying to find the codes, and it seems they'll have the codes by the end of episode 14 and making their way to Tantus, if not already en route by the end of 14. So next week is the fuck was it again? This is why I got to stop using MJ.
Into the Breach.
Short term just does not Into the Breach. All right. So clearly we know what else can happen on Tantus if he just doesn't go into the Necromancer vault and start opening all those sealed things and go, look, that's what's in there. Look, that's what's in there. Oh yeah, Mega, this is exactly how you're able to do this. So to me, Tantus next week is irrelevant. It's Tantus, which should have been some of the most exciting narrative in Bad Batch, it's a moot point from here on out. It's not going to play a role until things pop off in end of 14, 15, as I'm predicting. So next week, Rampart, I hope he doesn't shave. Maybe he trims up the beard a little bit, throws on some new garbs, and they get into their mission. This Into the Breach is going to mostly be around whatever shit they have to get mixed up into. Because, Nick, it does not sound like they need to find somebody who knows a code. They either need to find somebody who knows how to figure out how the coordinates get generated or who controls the keeping of the coordinates. It's an odd thing that they're able to, even within the Empire, keep this planet hidden from everyone. So it does seem like, maybe it's like a hacker, a slicer, maybe. Who knows? But I think next week is going to be predominant the batch with Rampart trying to get the coordinates. They better get the fucking coordinates. And then 14, right? We need the coordinates at the end of 13, right?
Yeah.
Because if they don't, Nick, what is it in 14? It's like, well, we're still looking for coordinates. We got to get beyond the coordinates. I do think 13, we get the coordinates. 14 is hopefully Rex got the coordinates. All right, we were getting close too. What do you got? I got this. I got this. I got this. All right, let's go. Rex, batch, en route to Tantus for the cavalry arriving. There you go.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, yeah, like you said, Tantus is kind of a dead planet now. Like there's like the only thing that could possibly happen there is like scenes of Omega talking to the other kids in the vault and like maybe trying to get them to like like her trying to convince Emery, like this
there
is
you go. I was going to say,
like,
Nick, I'm mistaken. The one thread that they need to expand upon and keep pushing forward is going to be Dr. Carr's inner conflict, which you can see over the past few episodes is increasing. Even in this one, even though she's still a shithead to Omega, Omega's like, hey, really? Like, you really think I'm safe? And she's still like, yep, I got to do what I got to do. Ba, 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 ba. But yeah, I think the narrative development now at Tantus is solely going to be on getting Dr. Carr to the tipping point. That's it. So she's probably going to have to witness some heinous shit happening, and like you said, Omega kind of working her over because she knows how to. I'm still holding out that Carr is going to be the key from the inside, like Nick projected before the season even started. I still think Order 99 is in check. I don't necessarily think it's going to be... who knows? Because I still think the clones, for the most part, have to go away by the end of this series, unless there is a planned other series where they make sense to be in. But I think Carr is going to be the kind of the spark, if you will, to maybe even to convince Scorch that he's a piece of shit, which would then convince the other commandos. But I don't think the entire time it's going to be our hero clones fighting the Tantus clones. I think at some point in time there is going to be a shift where even the Tantus clones are like, you know what, fuck this.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I would hope so, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay. Yeah.
Moving on. We are out of the Bad Batch, so only 3 more to go. Hopefully they improve. I have full faith that they will. We do not want an angry young Nick for the next 3 weeks. I just want them to be better. Like that's it. Like, I don't care about anything else. Except the story. That's all I care about in Star Wars, and that's really all I care about in anything that I play or watch is the story. And it kills me when like the story is just like, did you even think about it? Did you even think? Like, it's just weird. It almost seems like they like, for this one, they were like, pull a bad guy name out of a hat. And that's the guy. Oh, yeah, Dave pulled off his cowboy hat. He's like, here you go. I got some names in there. Go. And they're like, Rampart. He's like, Rampart? What was that name even doing in there, Dave? I thought he was just kind of implied he's dead. It doesn't make a lot of sense because it makes the big guy look like a dipshit.
Yeah. And then And then he's like, well, just do it anyway. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, that's all I want. And it's like, look, I know that, who am I to say this? I don't have any published works or TV series under my name, but I just appreciate good narrative. And when I don't see it, especially in a property that I dedicate a lot of my time to and a lot of my body space to with all these Star Wars tattoos, I would really like to see good narrative in that.
It'll come around. Just keep the faith, Nick, right? The Force is with you. You are with the Force.
Yeah.
All right, people. It is fan segment time on the SWTS. Baboo. You know what I was about to say. If not, who cares anyways? Because I'm sure not many people are left listening. But we do a fan segment every week on our live stream, and you can get involved, and it doesn't cost you a damn credit. You just got to be paying attention and seeing if you can crack through the wall of defense that every social media platform has put up against our content. If you can get involved in the Ask Us Anything. You can get involved in the Question of the Week. Or if you want to express yourself and get a little more artistic, you can get mixed up with Nick's Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features. So... luckily, we do have some dedicated fandos out there that provide us this segment, Nick, because otherwise we could just probably go home most weeks because it's the same fucking people every week. And you people, I love you. I'm not upset at you interacting. I'm just disappointed that we can't get beyond our hardcore fans. It's like it stops at Bat, Tones, and Mando Pirate, and then IG's like, all right, those 3 have seen it. Mm-hmm. Let's kill it. I looked at the reach. It went to 96 people.
Nice.
96 people. Anyways, let's see what they want to learn from us this week, Nick. Let's pop up the old Slacky Do. All right. And like I said, we did get some good questions here. I like these. Oh, what the hell happened?
These are pretty similar.
Yeah, so
they're pretty
look at this.
similar.
This is Darth Hideous coming out of nowhere.
I know.
Thoughts on where they will go after Tales from the Jedi? So
I mean,
it's wide open. I mean, next series. I mean, it's not clear. Is he asking for other Tales?
I mean, clearly they're going Tales of the Empire. So, like, I don't know if he sent this in before that dropped, like that announcement dropped, but it's Tales of the Empire. And I mean, really, the good thing about this format is they can go anywhere. Like, they can go with any group within Star Wars. You know, Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Jedi, you could even do Tales of the Republic. You know, I mean, that's probably just the Clone Wars. You know, like that's, you know, probably mostly covered in the Clone Wars. But you could do fucking Tales of Crimson Dawn. You can do Tales of the Smuggler. You could do so many different things, like Tales of the Underworld. You know,
well,
all kinds of different.
I'll answer this like a smart ass piece of shit. Tales of the Empire.
Yeah,
because that's where they're going after Tales of the Jedi, Tales from the Jedi. So there you go.
Yeah,
I do think they're going to continue this franchise, and now that they've made this choice, I would not be surprised if they do either a Sith or another faction moving forward. So that's my. All right, next one from Mando Pirate. If you had a choice for a Tales of series, what would you do? A little different, but I have one here. I want to hear what Nick has.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the idea that was thrown out in the chat was really good, which was Tales of the Sith. I think that that's a really good one. I guess my only question is, and it's not really a question, it's just like a wonder on the Lucasfilm side, is like, so far the two Tales things have been set in the same, like roughly the same time period, you know, like staying in that kind of, you know, prequel, just post prequel era.
The Morgans is definitely going to extend into the Mandoverse for sure. But yeah, I think the Barriss is pretty much contained to like up to where Ahsoka's Tales story went to.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, really, what I would like to see is like Tales of the Old Republic. Just take me back to, just like get me out of this time period. Like, I don't know how else to say it. And I don't like, get me out of this time period that we just seemingly are stuck in. Like we're really kind of stuck in like this post episode 3, in between episode 3 and 4 area where like some of Empire is going to take place. Like you said, obviously the Morgan stuff will extend into Mandoverse timeline, but like take me away, like bring me to a different timeline, like go back, go forward, go anywhere except where we are, because this time that we're in right now is just getting so oversaturated. So like give me Tales of the Sith, but like bring it back, like do older Sith, and then like you could do like timeline jumps where it's like you go all the way back, and then as you're telling the story, you make time jumps and you talk about the most famous Sith in these eras and how they changed the way that the Sith functioned all the way up until, you know, Plagueis and Sidious are the two Sith and stuff like that. Like there's so many good tales that you could tell with that lens. So I think for me, that would probably be the most interesting one.
All right. JR throwing in Tales of the Separatists, saying we could get some backstory on Grievous. I would love that, to see Grievous in his actual meat form. I don't think a lot of people, unless you were paying attention back then, picked up on why George brought Grievous in. His intention was to show for the first time that an organic being transplanted themselves into a mechanical body. It was like the blueprint for a Vader. But he was like some crazy ass warrior from like a warrior culture.
He was a Kalishi warrior.
Kalish, there you go. You got it. So yeah, I could dig that. Mine would be, and I've been thinking about this one, Sith, 100%, love those guys. Love bad guys, of course. Dark side kicks ass. But I'm going with Tales of the Mandalorians. And in particular, I have my two characters I would be interested in following. I think you would almost have to save Tar Vizsla for Tales of the Jedi. So I'm going to go with, and this might surprise some people, Jango Fett and then Bo-Katan. I would like to see Jango as a kid, how he got picked up, because I believe the canon is Jango is very similar to Din in that he wasn't necessarily born pure Mandalorian like Bo, but was a foundling. And was it Jodacast or whoever? I forget the name. Not Jodacast. Is it Yas? Who the fuck knows? The names are all over the place. So I'd like to see kind of Jango rise up and become this Mandalorian warrior that stood out so much that he was asked to become the genetic template for a clone army of the Republic. And I do think Bo-Katan, even though she's got a good amount of history covered, so did Ahsoka. I would like to see her younger in her interactions with her sister Satine, and kind of see how that relationship fractured and what really drove her over to Death Watch. And then maybe something a little bit into the future, maybe even after she met Din, her kind of dealing with that depression of shit, I don't have the Darksaber, this idiot has it, my life is useless. So that's what I'm going for.
Yeah, I think that it would be interesting to kind of get the in-between, like fill in the gaps for Bo-Katan, because we have seen, a lot of her story play out in the different properties that she's been in, from Clone Wars to Rebels to now, obviously, Mando and beyond. But I do think that it would be really cool to just kind of fill in those gaps and get a more full picture of Bo-Katan as a person, and like really have a deeper understanding of who she is and how she functions. And yeah, I mean, the Jango stuff, like, I think a lot of his canon, like his early life canon, got fucking rebooted,
exactly,
or like deleted.
Yeah, it's been heavily massaged.
Yeah, so like Jaster Muriel, like that character that you were talking about, I'm not even sure if he's actually canon anymore, because like right now on like the Star Wars wiki, it just says that his masters are a mentor, and it's not named as Jaster Muriel. So, and I know that like in the chain code, people were like doing like bunk ass translations, and they could see that like it partially it spelled part of Jast. It was like Jaste. So it's probably it may be that same character, but it hasn't officially been brought back into canon yet. But I do think that essentially having a mini series that follows the progenitor of all of the clones would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah,
why not? I mean, there's a lot of people that got hard-ons for clones, so let's see the guy himself. I'm gonna have to let you take this one from Brittany J. Taylor here. At the moment, don't most of us want the Grisk plot to have a definite ending?
I mean,
what do you think on that? I'm guessing that's coming from Thrawn books. Are these the new Thrawn books or old Thrawn books?
I read all of the original trilogy of the new Thrawn release. I didn't read any of the Ascendancy stuff, and I assume that in the Ascendancy stuff that there may have been more Grisk storyline thrown in there. But I was very intrigued by the Grisk, because the Grisk are like, from what I can remember when I was initially reading the new Thrawn trilogy, is like they were kind of setting the Grisk up to be the new Yuuzhan Vong, from what I could gather. Like, and so again,
galaxy eaters,
kind
destroyers.
Of, it's just like this truly warlike fashion of like, or faction of beings that could.
Are they kind of like Vikings, Nick, where they just kind of pillaged, or were they trying to expand their own civilization?
Yeah, I mean, they were definitely like a conquest oriented faction. The Grisk, like I said, as far as I read, I didn't learn a ton about them. I knew that the Grisk were an imminent threat to the Chiss Ascendancy, and the Chiss Ascendancy lies outside of known space regions for the Empire. And that is kind of what Thrawn was really focused on. Like, Thrawn's whole deal was like, hey, yeah, I'll join the Empire and help you guys wipe out do whatever you need to do. But I also want some assurances that after I'm done helping you, like I can take forces of the Empire to go help my people, and helping his people would be from.
Yeah, and Palpatine was like, "You got it, dude.
Yeah. He was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I need to
Whatever
say
you
to put
want.
your blue ass in here. But yeah, I mean, like I would really like to see the Grisk kind of come into the Star Wars.
I hate to break it to everyone. Since it's all book based, you're not getting Tales anything. So
yeah, I mean, like
Tales is only going to serve the big stuff. That's it.
Yeah, because here's what it. I mean, like it could be a really interesting plot line, and it could be something similar to what they're kind of trying to
Nick,
set
since
up.
I don't know shit,
Peridia.
Could you argue in this Tales, since Thrawn is, he seems to be very early on in his Imperial career, is there potential for him and Morgan to have a conversation about these people and Thrawn's true intentions, or is he's always representing the Empire at this point in time?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a very rare relationship, I'll put it this way, that he talks to somebody about
his drives.
About like his past and where he has come from.
Yeah, I didn't think he'd just go around like having conversations like that, but as an opportunity to try to get them into the canon, that's probably where it would take place. Yeah, and really the only time that happened, and Brittany may know better than me because it seems like she's read more of the new Thrawn books, but like the only time that he actually had conversations about the Chiss ascendancy and everything like that was with Eli Vanto, which was essentially his Imperial liaison at first, and then like the Enoch guy that shows up in Ahsoka.
Kind of like Enoch. It's his trusted confidant, and then he actually ends up sending Eli Vanto off to the Chiss ascendancy. Like he like puts him on a shuttle and sends him off to the Chiss.
Tell them that I'll be back soon.
Yeah. So like again, like I don't know where that storyline goes from there because I only read the initial 3 books and I don't know if it's picked up on or expanded on.
Ascendancy. We aim to please and just wanted to field that question. All right, let's go ahead and switch gears up a little bit. And now we're going to get some responses from the fans to our question of the week, which was all about the Bad Batch, so not a lot of action there. I did try to coax some people in the story, say, hey, we can talk Tales, we can talk Outlaws, but it doesn't matter. It went to our regulars. We appreciate it. Like I said, I'm not yelling at you all. It would be nice if more people could get involved here. I get there's probably some spoiler territory. You might not have seen the episode, but either way, we're dead on IG, so help us out. Turn on those notifications. Click on as many posts as you see. So, Nick, we got what's your favorite or least favorite moment from the latest episode of Bad Batch S3?
All right.
I'll take this one from JRO.
Okay.
JRO, I remembered to put it in Discord this week. It was almost at the last minute, but I got it in there so that some fans were like, hey, we don't want to fuck with IG. Discord it. You ask, you receive, right? We build it, people don't come, but we still build things. So JRO, his reply to question of the week. To me, I didn't really like that episode a whole lot. It had all right action, and I guess the episode was needed, but the whole tank/off-road rig scene just reminded me too much of Season 2, Episode 15 of The Mandalorian, when him and Bill Burr's character have to infiltrate that Imperial mining facility and hijack that same kind of rig. Yeah, I think we covered that ad nauseum. So Nick agrees with you 1,000%. I also felt it was not the best episode of this season. There you go. There's the regulars.
All right. Next up, 2797 Studios. He says, the action in this episode was fun. The whole bridge scene was a blast. Seeing gunships flying into a straight up Star Destroyer was a little sad for me. And they continue to refer to TKs as stormtroopers now. The transition towards the Empire we all know and love is happening right before our eyes. Rampart being alive in general is a bit confusing to me. Why would Palpatine keep him alive in general?
Thank you.
Doesn't add up in my book, but they're setting us up for a tragic end run.
Of course.
Buckle up, baby.
Yeah, I'm glad other people are picking up on this Rampart thing, because it is just like, I haven't checked in with Connor yet from Beyond the Dune Sea. I like to have like a little kind of report out with him, but I can't think he loved it either. All right, who's next?
Johnny Osage Avenue. He says, Oh man, this episode should have been titled "I Live My Life a Quarter Parsec at a Time." Did anyone else get FF, which he means Fast and Furious vibes? The whole Juggernaut hijacking by
if
the
Hunter
Bad
said
Batch.
family a few times, yes.
Yeah. Holy shit. And they're racing down the
It's about
narrow
my
road
family.
to jumping roadblocks. Move over, Dom. There's a new family
That's
in
right.
town. Coming this fall, Bad Batch 99X, Tantus Drift.
Hey, speaking of, where's my fucking Fast X Part 2? I'm still waiting for the second part of the last one where, Momoa came in and kicked all their asses. Come on.
Oh, gosh.
Let's go.
I mean-
Let's go, Dom. Where you at, Vin?
Call up Universal. Who runs Universal?
I even think they're getting The Rock back in this motherfucker. Let's go.
Do it. Do it. I won't be saying it, but go for it. Mando Pirate says, the turbo tank joust was great, and so was the chase from the gunships, but that was it for this episode. I was extremely disappointed by the end of the episode when Hemlock just took Omega to the room with the children just to watch them build puzzles. The Empire were so stupid to get rid of clones and all their technology from the Republic. Lastly, I'm excited for Outlaws so I can just run around exploring the beautiful worlds and being a total
yeah.
scoundrel. Good stuff there. And then
Ditto.
the final one this week is from Tones1138. Always miss seeing Tones in chat because I don't think he can make the Wednesdays, but nice to see him in our replies. He says, good episode. Really liked the turbo tank face off on the bridge, and the chase had callbacks to train heist and Solo. I mean, it also did have those like the Solo call out is actually good too. Because that was pretty similar. Nice to see Rampart looking scruffy and getting his hands dirty, even if it hasn't changed his arrogant attitude much. Once again, the animation and visuals were so good. They seem to have dialed it up somewhat for this final season. Decent enough cliffhanger for next week's episode too. So Tones was a fan. He didn't care that Rampart should either be dead or inside of a small cell somewhere. So he was a big fan. So yeah, there we go.
Right.
Good stuff. Thank you all for participating in the question of the week. If you want to get involved in that, make sure to follow us at StarWarsTime.show and look on Tuesdays for the question of the week. That's when it comes out.
Maybe.
And then you can just reply. Maybe. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, whoever.
Honestly, Nick, it doesn't matter when I post it. The same people are going to see it. So you literally, if you want to get involved, you have to take action, people.
Hey, here's the thing too. If you guys watch the episode on Wednesday before our show goes live and you don't feel like looking on the IG for a response, just send us a DM on Instagram.
Yeah, let's go.
Because that's how they come through on Instagram anyway. If you see them through the stories, it comes through DMs. So,
All right.
whatever. All right. So to close out this fan segment of the week, we have our top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. To get involved with this, same way, follow us at StarWarsTime.show on Instagram, and then tag at StarWarsTime.show on your Star Wars Instagram posts. That is how I pick the top 5
We'll see the same people in there too.
from our tagged section. We get a lot of tags now. We get tagged a lot.
Dude,
We get
I've
tagged a lot,
almost
so I'm happy.
memorized every handle of the people that are left that use the tag or actually tag us. I mean, it's pretty much every day I can tell you who's going to be in the feature reel. So I mean,
Hey.
it's just like, and I hope it's probably coming off that I'm lecturing. I'm not. I'm just saying, like, we've been beaten on IG. Like, it's a dead platform for us. Once they killed our, 16,000 plus, it's over. Like, the content goes nowhere. I don't care if it's shitty or good. It just goes nowhere.
There we go. So let's go nowhere with this top 5. Kicking it off this week is a galaxy far, far, far away. So 3 fars. A galaxy far, far, far away. And he hits us with an awesome Captain Rex Clone Wars style shot. No helmet on. Double pistols ablazing. And he's doing the cool guy thing where he turns away and walks away from an explosion.
I even think there's a B2 eating some of that explosion back there.
I was going to say there's definitely like a droid of some sort that's getting blasted here, but it's hard to see in the background. But I mean, honestly, this is just like a clean, nice, like almost portrait style shot of Rex kicking his
Yeah,
Clone Wars
this
does.
dude, this is where, you know, those that are in this community, toy photography, customization, collecting, you look at this Rex, that's, I can just look at him and be like, that's a Fett clone head sculpt. Like this Fett.clone character is a supreme action figure customizer and head sculptor. I mean, that thing looks like a fucking hot toy. And it's a little Black Series figure. So
that looks incredible. I mean, the head sculpt does look incredible.
It's unbelievable.
And like that's really the only it draws your eye. Obviously, it's like a spot on like.
I believe
Morrison
in listen, I have
match.
no clue how they do this process, but I believe the people that make these killer heads for 112, I think they get these sculpts from Hot Toys, scan it, and then just resize it. And then,
okay.
Then obviously they got to have the ability to paint it and sand it down so it looks great, but it's amazing what these customizers can do with these figures. All right, that is a galaxy far, far, far away. No fucking underscores, so they win the champion award of the year. Thank you.
Yeah, no underscores. Look at that. All right, next up we have Sunset Doom, and he has an underscore. It's right after Sunset, so it's Sunset underscore.
Damn it!
Doom.
Right back to the underscore.
Sunset underscore Doom. But we have an awesome shot here. It's another Clone Wars inspired shot, and this has not only Rex but also Snips in it.
Mm-hmm.
Rex, Snips, and then some clone Regs. I mean, the shot itself is amazing. You see, you know, like they're clearly on a battlefield. There's a shutdown B1 right there on the ground. Like I said, they got the Regs on the sides of them, and then Rex and Ahsoka walking along, having a conversation. And the quote that Sunset Doom has put on this shot is, "This is only the beginning, I'm afraid." So this is clearly early times of the Clone Wars. And seeing Rex and Ahsoka together on the battlefield, just an awesome shot here from Sunset.
Yeah,
Doom.
I mean my favorite part of the shot is we are listed as the first hashtag.
Look at that Star Wars Time Show.
That's
number
how
one.
big of a selfish prick I am. That's just like, oh look,
Sunset Doom has been around since.
oh yeah, he's
he's
diehard. I don't think they listen. Doesn't matter, but they follow the rules, and they get it. But yeah, I mean, he's Sunset, a galaxy. They're in there. Like I said, I could start rattling them out. Panda Photo, 97. Cap Wolf, Brian's Toy Chest. Do you want me to keep going? Probably not. All right. Yeah, at Sunset underscore Doom always has great setups. Does a lot of clone stuff. So if you're in the Clone Wars era, Sunset Doom will be tickling that fancy.
Oh yeah, good stuff. So next up we have Coleccionista de Plastico on Instagram, and there are underscores in between each of those words.
Whoa, hold on. Did we skip Guillaume?
Oh yes, I did. My bad. I scrolled too fast. So yes, so Guillaume GH4. My bad. Not Coleccionista de Plastico yet.
What did we used to call this person? Like it got so
EMA.
bad that they reached out and be like, "This is how you spell it or say it, you American dipshits." Guillaume.
Yeah, I think it was like,
yeah, we were like Gilly me.
Yeah. So
I love how ignorant Americans are when it comes to language.
That is how we are. But anyway, Guillaume hit us with an awesome
shit.
The awesome Ayla Secura shot. And it's right before her imminent death, I would assume.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this on Felucia or whatever?
Felucia? Could be. Because so what we see here is Ayla with her lightsaber out in her held position. She kind of holds it backhand like Ahsoka holds her sabers. And she is on a planet which is hard to tell right now because it looks like there is an active battle going on. But right behind her, obscured by the blur of the photo, is a stormtrooper, is a clone trooper that looks like he is right about to shoot her in the back, which is exactly how she dies in episode 3. So this could be a snapshot taken a moment before Ayla Secura's unfortunate demise.
Why do you think during Order 66, George specifically had her and Ki-Adi Mundi get shot the fuck?
I don't know. Like that. Like
Do
there
you know
were
what I'm
like
talking
very
about?
close
Like
up.
hers is beyond like angry. It's like I don't know if like he was taking out some male misogyny or something, but they get her down and then they circle and they're like bah, 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 bah. I mean, there should be no physical body left of Ayla Secura after what they did to her. And then with Kiati's the same way.
With
he
Kiati,
stops her like bah, 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 bah.
With Kiati, it makes a little bit more sense because we had actually seen him before.
Oh
like we had like he had like a speaking part in the movies.
Yeah.
So we could be like, oh look, he was on the council. He was a Jedi master.
He needs extra murdered then.
Ayla, like I don't even know. Like we may have seen her in passing.
No,
in the
I don't think
like,
you did, dude. I actually
that's
don't
what
think you
saying.
did.
It's like she had almost no screen time, but she had the most memorable death of all of the Jedi in Order 66.
I mean, the imagery's burned in my head because it's so jarring and over the top versus what was happening to everyone else. It's like not even the 501 clones were shooting Jedi like that in the Jedi Temple.
Yeah, in the Jedi, they were like, "Hey, look, 2 shots and then we move on."
Pop, pop, right? pop, pop, tap, 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 tap.
I mean, it's also So yeah.
They must have been really shitty
her.
generals or like dickheads, because man, there's
maybe
Mando.
She wasn't.
Mando Pirate's my fellow lover of the Twi'lek. He's getting all chubbed up looking at Ayla here.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So
sorry, Guillaume.
No, yeah, Guillaume.gh4 on the Instagram. Make sure to give them a follow. They have been long time
this
Star
chick
Wars
is
Time Show followers. Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
All right. Next up. Now we have Coleccionista de Plastico. I was wrong. I skipped Guillaume on the first go around, but Coleccionista de Plastico hits us with an awesome. It's a scene recreation in a way of ROTJ, Throne Room ROTJ, Luke and his papa, lightsabers ignited. But this one, we don't get the full pulled out shot of father son. What we do get is a close up right in between father and son, right to the bad guy, the bad man himself, Palpatine. And you just see that shit eating evil grin on his face as father and son are about to throw down right in front of him in the throne room.
Yeah, he's celebrating his machinations coming into play. I mean, this is he did everything to lead to this moment. So Palpatine is, evilly enjoying what he's about to see. But like you said, it's just the framing of this shot and the choice to, we're literally, for those of you that aren't looking, you should go look at StarWarsTime.net, but we are looking, it was like a V window that Palpatine's face comes through that's formed by Vader's arm and Luke's arm with their sabers ignited. It's such a cool way to frame this shot and really pull the focus to Palpatine, while also creating an entire scene in a vertical shot. Like this is just like a 4x5. Yeah.
Yeah. 4x5. Yeah. I mean, it's truly incredible. And obviously these are some really high
poster type of shot.
Yeah. I mean, the poster for sure, like you can toss like an RO, even if you just did a Return of the Jedi branding on this, it would be perfect. But like, yeah, I mean the light diffusion with the red and the green sabers. Just, and like that, I don't know if that's a Hot Toys or a sideshow.
Yeah, these are all Hot Toys for sure.
Yeah, just next level, obviously, detail in terms of the figures. But yeah, Coleccionista de Plastico just put together an incredible composition here and really knocked it out the park.
Yeah, no, they're top tier 1/6 scale. So if you're in the 1/6 scale or just looking at figures that get their pictures taken, unlike mine these days, Coleccionista _de Plastico on Instagram. And no, we are not going to spell Coleccionista for you.
You can go look it up. Good stuff. And then
here's a timely shot.
Yeah, to close
Tales
out
of
the top
the Empire
5 this week, right here. That's right.
Oh
Very
shit,
timely.
they're all there too. Look
they're
at
all there.
the
Riva, you got Marak, you got all the 1 through 15 brothers and sisters and cousins and aunts and uncles. They're all there. The whole Inquisitorious family. This is Galagus Rax picks here for those of you who are wondering.
And these are the little
Rax
boys.
picks.
These are the 1/18 scale.
Yeah, so he's using the tiny toys, but he still makes them look awesome. So what we see is the Grand Inquisitor meeting the grandest Inquisitor, some could say, Darth Vader. Yeah, it's Vader and the Grand Inquisitor, brother number one. Maybe he's the dad. Maybe he's Daddy Inquisitor.
Original homeboy.
Yeah. Him and Vader are staring each other down, and in the background you see the rest of Fortress Inquisitorius. You see Reva. You even see Barriss right behind Reva, even though her face is indiscernible. You see that brother guy. You see Marak. You see that sister girl. That brother dude. That other brother guy, and then the Purge Trooper.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
There you go. You got all of them. But I love the shot because this has for sure happened before, where Vader had to call the Inquisitorius in for like a all hands meeting.
It's the camera panning up in the Tales of the Empire trailer. That's all it is. It's just panning up to get the full scope of the room. So yeah. Galagus always crafts amazing looking living scenes using 1/18 scale to 375 inches, or as we call them here at the SWTS, Matt's penis length. Galagus Racks Pics on Instagram.
That's right. And that's the end of the top 5, and that's the end of the show. So Matt, go ahead and close us out.
Woo, buddy, I would love to. And as we always do, we just want to remind you how you can stay connected to the Star Wars Time Show in between Wednesdays. And yes, even though moving the Wednesday has further killed our audience, we're going to keep it Wednesdays, because once the Acolyte kicks around, debuting Tuesday nights, hopefully it's going to do what Nick and I thought Bad Batch would do for moving the Wednesday. So stay with us. Follow along. All you got to do is keep this web URL burned into the forefront of your mind, and that is StarWarsTime.net. Easiest place to go. You can see what sort of content we may be brewing for the show. You can watch the show, listen to the show, all on StarWarsTime.net. But more importantly, for you new fans, or those fans that are out there trying to preach the good book of the SWTS, you can use the website to let new fans know how to get linked in to the podcast version of the show, which is just the words only of our two dumbasses talking on Wednesday night. You can get linked into YouTube if you're not subbed up yet. We've got a nice little button you can click on, and it will auto sub you. You just got to click on notifications so you can know when the new stuff is coming out. And did we tell you there is new stuff coming out 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So you definitely want to be keyed in to the Star Wars Time Show, because there's always time for Star Wars time. We give it to you straight. We give it to you correct. We give it to you with no bullshit. There's always time for Star Wars time, my friends. And if you do happen to listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you, and you, always.